Definitely the talk for tonight, the temperature of the track and tires. They only get 9 tires tonight, so they're going to have to be able to not only make these tires last, but also still continue to run at a decent speed. So it's going to be tough to run in the top 5 and save tires throughout the entire race. So it's going to get interesting, and it will be even more interesting the later we get. You want to hit us up on the weather and stuff?
Yeah, so if you can, the viewers at home can see the graphic right there. It's 81 degrees and only partly cloudy with a 9-mile-an-hour wind gust. So the track is going to be extremely hot. And it was actually a little bit warmer in qualifying. So a lot of the drivers got into the session. They weren't necessarily expecting the track to be that warm in qualifying. And they didn't quite turn the laps they wanted to. A lot of the drivers in the chat pre-race were saying, man, I think my qualifying could have went a little bit better. My testing was a lot better than qualifying. So maybe some of these guys not starting right where they wanted to, and they're going to have to race their way through traffic to get up front and get that track position, which I think is going to be extremely important tonight. Yes,
definitely. And I'm looking forward to see who's going to be that guy that comes from the back of the pack up to the front, That's going to be my most interesting. Who's going to be starting toward the rear and end up in the top 5, and how long will he stay in the top 5?
Absolutely. We're about to get gridded up right now. We got about 30 seconds left in practice before we're getting gridded up. So how about we get to the starting grid for tonight? I'm going to start it out with 1 through 12. On the pole tonight, Jonathan Delaney. So 2 poles in a row for the driver of that number 9 Chevrolet. Cameron Stone, outside pole in P2. Behind him in third is going to be Brandon Pierce and Kevin Steele outside of him in fourth. So an apex second row. Bryson Nixonbaugh, Ryan Samuelson back in 6th, Chad Edwards, Stephen Parrott, 9th and 10th going to be Patrick Much and Dalton Mobley, and 11th through 12th, Adam Benefield, Brian Branham.
All right, I'm having trouble finding the rest of the grid here.
I can take that over for you, James. 13th going to be Preston McRae, 14th, Ryan McDaniel, 15th, Mason Lowry, 16th, Raymond Root, 17th, Cody Bird. Matthew Gaskin's going to start 18th. Tim Rail in that 17 car, he's going to be rolling off 19th. John Pillion in 20th. Damaris Hickenbottom in that 09 machine, not the qualifying run he wanted to see, he's going to start 21st. Dustin Hall, P22. And rounding out the field, Bryce Hoffman in 23rd.
Awesome. We appreciate you doing it. I apologize for not being able to help out on that. I couldn't do it. I'm sorry.
it wouldn't be 100% Cup Series broadcast if we didn't mess up the starting grid somehow. Because every week we tend to find something to mess up that starting grid. But this one, not really our fault. Just a bit of a technical issue. No big deal. But the cars are heading out of pit road, and you might notice something, James. A lot of these cars running sort of these Miami Vice color schemes with the pink and blue color schemes. Honestly, a lot of these are sort of palette swaps from schemes that they normally run, changed to fit the track that we're at this week, and a lot of them are looking absolutely fantastic. So as we run through the field tonight, you're going to notice some different paint schemes than you're used to, but definitely some good-looking cars out there tonight as front row is heading down the backstretch, and we're not too far from a fun night of racing.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it, and there are a lot of great paint schemes out there, as you mentioned. I enjoy the flashy. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the plain Jane jet black colors and the matte blacks and the grays and all that. But those flashy colors with the baby blues and the hot pinks, those are the ones that really stand out the most. They're wanting the attention. Now, can their paint scheme or can their driving skills be followed up with their paint scheme? Are they going to be able to drive saying, look at me? Or are they going to be in the back saying, don't look at me? And hammer down, let's go. Green flag racing.
And it's a great start for Jonathan Delaney. He's going to get clear of that 57 Cameron Stone. Heading into turn 1, he's got about a half a car length advantage, and he's going to extend it coming through the center of the corner. But a little bit of a bobble there, almost. He's going to slide up the track. Cameron Stone on the hunt with a round out of the corner. He's going to dive low. We're not even done with lap 1. We are side by side for the lead. Cameron Stone looking low.
That's right. Cameron Stone's looking to take that inside groove, and he's going to pull out by about a quarter panel as they get ready to come back around to complete lap 1. But as you can see, Delaney pulls ahead, and he completes lap 1 lead. So he's not going to just give up first place that easy. He's going to keep that lead as he ran a 38.2 on that lap right there.
And that's the power of the high side. You can get a little bit of momentum on the middle lane and on the bottom, but if you can slingshot around that top line and carry that momentum down the straightaway, that's something that's hard to contend with and hard to compete with. So Jonathan Delaney, he's shown his speed. He got the pole. He was fastest in practice. Now he's trying to get the clean sweep and hopefully bring home a win tonight. But right now, second place under fire from the 63 car. That's Bryson Hixenbaugh. 15 wins last season. Not one win yet this season. So he is definitely looking for redemption, trying to find his way back to that top spot that we saw so often last season. Right now, off to a great start in that podium position. But even he isn't really free from pressure, because behind him you've got Brandon Pierce, who is pretty good in qualifying. He said before the race that he was very confident in his setup. He thought he had a great car that could maybe win this thing. And running P4 right now, only a little ways behind the top three, about a 5-car length gap. And he's definitely sitting in the captain's seat right now.
Yeah, exactly. And you had mentioned how Delaney come across the top side. Everybody's going into that second group right there, which I feel like that's going to help the long-term run for their tires, because they're not all trying to stretch their tires and staying kind of low. You know, they're all up around that second groove. So those top 4 or 5 right there are all following single file, getting some good racing, and hopefully save their tires a little bit and stretch out that first pit stop.
Absolutely. And as they make their way through the corner, you can see that they're all sort of running different lines. They have different ideas about where they want to put their cars. Seems like Bryson Hixenbaugh is running about half a lane lower than Cameron Stone, and Cameron Stone just kind of following in the tire tracks of Delaney for right now. You mentioned the tire wear. The top line is definitely going to be better on your tires in the long run. When you try to pinch your car down low, you're just heating those tires up, putting more pressure on them, and they're going to be rolling a lot faster. You definitely don't want your car getting tight here, because corner exit can be pretty brutal. That outside wall sneaks up on you real fast if you're not ready for it. So you're going to have to be careful of that. But right now, looks like Cameron Stone closing the gap a little bit to Jonathan Delaney. The 63 sort of stagnating back where he was, but that 57 is so powerful on that corner entry, and then loses it once they come to the corner exit.
Yes, sir. I agree with that. And speaking of that, Bryce Hoffman back in 18th just passed the number 13 car. So he's making a move to come up to the. He went kind of low into the second groove. The 13 stayed up high like the third groove, but the 21 of Bryce Hoffman was able to make the pass, and his last lap was a 31.9. So he's moving around the track. He's moving.
Absolutely, all the way up to P17. He started at the tail end of the field in 23rd. I believe he had some qualifying issues. I'm not entirely sure what the scenario was there, but I had read in the chat something about him having issues in qualifying, so he's got a little bit of ground to make up, and so far he's doing a great job of it, as it looks like a little bit of a checkup in the field. Somebody got really loose there, it seems like, ahead of Bryce Hoffman. Not sure exactly who it was or what happened, but yeah, he is definitely working his way through the field.
And he's doing a good job at it too. He's moving right along. Now his lap times have slowed down a little bit, but if we move forward, a couple of cars in front of him is Dalton Mobley, and he's in 14th right now, and he's cruising around about this half and half of the second and the third grooves. So he's moving around pretty good as well, and he's running a 32.2 right now. But he is up on the rear end of the one car who is also on the rear end of the 69 of Steve Parrott. So they're all running right here together, and that's what I'm starting to see. There's a lot of cars running together, as you got the 69, 1, and 77, and that's Parrott, Hall, and Mobley all running right here together. But Hall decided he wanted to go up, and he's up closer to the wall on the high side. It looks like he's trying to go around the 69. I don't think he'll be able to go around the high side, and as I say that, he makes the pass.
Isn't that how it always goes? And it's a fantastic pass. I mean, that was textbook. A quick update. We saw the tire smoke. I commented on it, said I wasn't sure who that was that got sideways. It was Jonathan Delaney. He was leading the race. He is now running P6. So we dropped 5 positions, a lot of ground lost with that mistake. Not sure exactly how it happened, but regardless of that, it did give the lead to Cameron Stone, who I think came into this week a little frustrated with Daytona. I think he knew Daytona, as we got a bit of a replay here. Actually, we're going to see what happened to Delaney, it would seem. So you had Cameron Stone and Delaney 1 and 2, as they were pretty much the entire beginning of this race. Making their way down the backstretch, looks like Cameron Stone was going to try to make a move down low, right to the quarter panel. Bit of a side draft, door to door, coming through 3 and 4. Delaney's going to slide up the track a bit. He's up in the marbles. And there's that outside wall. He avoids it, so they're still side by side coming down the front stretch. We got 2 wide, 2 rows deep coming into one. He gets clear of Cameron Stone. Still haven't quite identified what happened to him as they roll through 1 and 2 down the back straight again. I think it's going to happen right up here in turns 3 and 4. That's where we saw the tire smoke. He's run that high line again. He was very dedicated to it, which is kind of risky. A lot of marbles up there, a lot of, well, a lack of traction, I should say. And no, he was clear that time. So not quite identifying what happened here, but as looks like the 63 was actually getting a run back there too. So maybe the 63 putting some added pressure on the 57 had something to do with it. As we're gonna fast forward, and we couldn't quite identify it. We tried, ladies and gentlemen, we tried. Long story short, Jonathan Delaney was first. He's now 6th, and that is the story. Cameron Stone currently leading the race.
Hey, sometimes it just be like that, you know. And as you were going through that replay, I'm floating toward the back. I like to hang around in the middle of a pack somewhere because a lot of the times you see these guys from the middle of the pack up around the front. But you've got back here in 19th, you've got the 79 of Matt Gaskins, who just went around the 17 of Tim Rail. And it was a very smooth pass. What happened was the 17 was kind of toward the high side, and 79 just kind of went down below him. I forgot where I was going with that. There's a 3. It's more bumper to bumper is my point. You got the 99 here. Let me get back on him. You got the 99 of McDaniel, and then the 13 right here. They're all running together. So I just wanted to point that out while you were going through that. There's some nice racing going on in the back of the field.
Absolutely, and that's one of the great things about these 1.5 mile tracks is it seems like there's always a battle somewhere through the field as long as you're looking through and seeing what's going on. These drivers, of course, it's very early in the season. Every single point counts. So you're not just going to ride around. Even if you're only battling for 18th, 17th position, you're not going to ride around. You're not going to be content. You're trying to get every point you can. As that 79 car you were talking about, he makes another pass. He's going to get around Ryan McDaniel in that 99 car. That's going to put him up into P18. So a slow but steady and consistent charge to the front. And ahead of him, Cody Bird, who I'm thinking this wasn't a track he was looking forward to. He was talking to me a little bit this week before the race, and I know for a fact he doesn't exactly like loose race cars. Those aren't his forte, and I don't think there's a better way to describe how these cars are handling right now other than loose. So he's powering through it, running a solid P17. His lap times are pretty consistent, so maybe getting a little bit of a feel for the track, getting this thing figured out. And I'm sure as the race goes on, Cody Bird in that 13 car is going to get it figured out. So more power to him.
You're absolutely right, and that's the biggest problem right now. These cars are already starting to get loose as we're on lap 17 of 267. So we've got roughly about 240 or so laps to go, and they are already getting loose. And that's going to be the biggest problem throughout the entirety of the race, because there's only so many tires they have, which is 9. And it's all going to be about who's going to be able to manage their tire wear the best throughout the race. And that's where we're going to see those guys move up throughout the race and closer toward the front of the pack as we move along the race.
Absolutely. And you got to think, we're on lap 18 right now, like you said. And the fuel run is going to be between 60 and 65 laps. So these guys can go quite a ways on a tank of gas, but the tires, not so much. I mean, we're not even 20 laps in, and the lap times have absolutely deteriorated. The leader last time around, Cameron Stone, he ran a 32.8, which on fresh tires, these front runners would be running about a 31.2 to a 31.3 consistently. So just about 2 seconds of time lost almost. And again, only 20 or so laps into the tire run. So these guys are going to have to baby these things. And I think with the tire wear being as bad as it is, James, that might open the door to some short pitting strategy. Maybe get in a few laps before the other guys and try to use that extra time on fresh tires to make up some track space.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Speaking of Delaney, he was the leader there for a while. He is on the rear end of Kevin Steele as they come down. Looks like the back straightaway right here. He is on the bumper, pulling that draft in, hopefully getting that slingshot in. His last lap was a 33.3. But I'm thinking if he can that was Steele's last time, and we had Delaney's was a 33.0, so he's definitely moving faster. And then he drops down into the third groove. He doesn't, but he gets blocked. He gets He got the block there. Hang on, I'm trying to catch up here. Yeah, he got blocked by Steele. Steele goes down low to the white line as they come out of turn. Looks like 4. And then Delaney comes around the high side. Will he make the pass as they get ready to come down the front straightaway? And he does. He makes the pass as they get across the start-finish line. So Delaney has moved up another spot and is now sitting in 4th.
That is impressive. He's running lap times in that 9 car that are comparable to the leaders. And you got to think those tires got to be flat spotted or at least pretty scuffed up from that slide that he had early on. So not even quite on equal footing with the tire wear, and he is still making solid passes like he got around Kevin Steele, charging his way towards the front. And I think once we get to some green flag stops, and of course once we get the first stage and the field gets bunched up, he's definitely going to be right back in the game. I mean, he's running P4. He's made a fantastic recovery from that early mistake, and definitely going to be a car to watch all night long.
Exactly. And speaking of that, our first stage ends on lap 80, I believe it is. And then our second one will be 160, and then obviously the final stages will be the last 107 laps. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think that's what I looked up earlier.
I do believe you're correct. And the interesting thing about that is 80 laps is about 15 laps further than a fuel run. So I think these guys are going to have a choice to make. Do they split the stage in half? Do they try to pit right around lap 40, lap 50-ish? Or do they try and stretch it out? What are they going to try to do there? And I think, of course, whether or not the race stays green is going to play into their strategizing and what they choose to do. If the caution came out right now, I'm sure you'd see some guys coming down pit road and making sure they're good to the end of the race. But again, I think it's going to be tough for these drivers to figure out what they want to do tire-wise because, as you mentioned at the top of the broadcast, 9 tires. It's going to be something that they got to pay attention to with that tire limit. And we saw that come into play in real life with the Xfinity race tonight with their tire limit. A lot of strategizing going on. I think we're going to see the exact same thing play out right here.
Exactly. Very valid point. Yes, I missed that race, but I heard it was a good one. But we can move back to the 7th and 8th spots here with Branham and Lowry. They're battling between 7th spot right here. I've been watching this battle for the last couple of laps. It's been a good one. But as I mentioned, Lowry and Branham, as they're battling for this 7th spot here, Chad Edwards has snuck up, and he is in the 9th spot. And he's got just a couple of car leads in between himself and Lowry. So they're starting to move a little closer here. And I think as we move along in the race, you'll see sections of the race where you get drivers riding together, where it be single file, or they're door to door, or they're fender to fender, or 2x2, or even 3 wide at some point, which will probably come later on in the race. But I think Lowry is getting ready to make a move as they come down the front straightaway here.
And it could be that 56 car has a bit of a long run setup. He is sort of coming to life, as you said. He caught up to that 74. He's currently riding behind him. Might have a little bit of a hard time in that dirty air. I mean, whenever you get up behind somebody with this aero packet in a mile and a half like this, your handling kind of automatically degrades. But he has been closing the gap ever so slightly and might continue to do so. And I think that's something that we're going to see all night long. Is some of these guys are going to have better short run setups, and some of these guys are going to have better long run setups. I think if you look at Kevin Steele, for example, he's currently running in, if I can find him, P5.
Yeah, P5.
And he has been kind of slowly falling back from the lead. Jonathan Delaney, who passed him not too long ago, already nearly half a straightaway ahead of him. So maybe a bit of a short run setup on that car. We've seen Kevin Steele in the past make short run setups and kind of rely on those late race cautions. But with how clean this race has been, knock on wood, maybe not going to be able to rely on a late race caution.
That's definitely true on that. I definitely agree. And y'all saw on the graphic there that Steele did win the 2021 Daytona. So I wasn't here for that. So congratulations on that, Mr. Steele. That's always a big win.
And it was a dramatic end to that Daytona 500. About 10 cars went into the final corner, and about 3 came out. And he managed to climb to the top of the hill and grab that win, and he was very excited about that. And he's been carrying that momentum pretty much throughout the entire season. Of course, going to Auto Club, he had a great run there. Now here at Homestead, he is showing a lot of pace. Like I said, maybe not quite with the leaders right now, but you can't complain about a top 5. That is definitely solid pace. His lap times are consistent. That's why we call him Kevin Consistency Steele. And as this race goes on, I expect to see him as well as some other drivers make some changes to their car, get it figured out a little bit more. and just make some moves. But kind of right now, I'm looking at the 83 of Adam Benefield. He's running P3. Actually, up to P2 now, I'm sorry. He got around, I believe that's Cameron Stone that he just passed.
Yeah.
Talk about a car coming to life, James. This guy was running P4, P5 at the beginning of the race, and now look at those splits. Compared to the leader, Bryson Hixenbach, last time around he was a 10th faster. There was only one lap out of the last 5 where he wasn't faster. I'm sorry, that's the opposite way around. So Hixenbach actually a little bit faster, but right now, as they cross the line, for Bryson Hixenbach, it's going to be a 33.287. For Adam Benefield, 33.3. So actually, looks like Hixenbach's car is starting to come to life a little bit more than Benefield. I thought once he got around Cameron Stone that car was going to take off like a rocket. We've seen Adam Benefield pull something like that in the past with these long run setups. But no, that 63 machine, he's pulling away with it.
Exactly. And yeah, it's going to be hard to catch up when someone's constantly running faster laps. But those laps are less than a tenth of a second faster. So there's still, he's still hanging with him, and Benefield's not going to give up. I don't think he'll just lay back and let Hixenbach run away with it. He's running about a 33.2 now as they get ready to come down. Looks like the back straightaway, I think. Yeah, back straightaway. And, I've noticed in practice, I came in for a little while, and a lot of these guys were hitting the back straightaway at about 180 miles an hour, but now they're hitting it at about 175. So, of course, that takes time off their lap time, but it also helps on the tire wear, I feel like, because you're not trying to get around these corners as wide open as you would think they would try to. But that goes to show you right there that these guys are actually thinking and, they're planning ahead with these long green flag runs as we are now on lap coming up to 34 here shortly when Hixenbach comes back across the start-finish straight.
Absolutely. And as the tires wear on these longer runs, it almost does stabilize itself, because when you have fresh tires and you're coming out of the corner, you're going to get on that throttle as hard and as quickly as you can. And you're going to get a little bit of wheel spin and you're going to really stress those tires, but you're going to get a lot of speed coming out. But then as they wear, you can't really get on the throttle as hard. If you do, that right front might give way. Maybe you get tight, go to the wall, or maybe the right rear breaks loose and you start spinning down towards the inside wall. You got to be really careful on that throttle. You got to roll into it gently. And ironically, the gentler you get into the throttle, the more you save. So the tire wear does slow down over time as it gets closer and closer to the pit sequence. And obviously, I think that's something that Bryson Hixenbach is well aware of, because his lap times have stabilized a lot. He's been running 33.2s pretty much every lap for the last 6 or so laps. One of the most consistent cars on the track. Adam Benefield in P2 last time around, it was a 33.4, so 0.2 slower than the race leader.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And speaking of lap times, I'm back here in the, like I said, I like to hang out in the middle of the field, so I'm just kind of hanging out back here. And back here in the 6th and 7th spots. In 6th, you got Pierce. And in 7th, you have Branham, as I mentioned earlier, in the 74. Well, Brandon Pierce ran a 33.6 on his last lap, and Branham ran a 33.5. So Branham is consistently running just a tenth or so faster, trying to catch up. And Lowry's not lagging too far behind, but Pierce has got a rear view mirror full of Branham as they get ready to come down the front straightaway.
Riding on board, he is really closing that gap. You can see.
And correction, the back straightaway. I'm sorry about that.
They look very similar, to be fair. But coming into the corner, you can see he's taking a bit of a lower entry, a little bit shallower, and now he's going to get a huge run on the outside. I think maybe 38 decided to pit there for that.
That's what it looked like. Yeah, I think he went down into the pits to maybe get some fresh tires and top off on fuel.
Yeah, I think Brandon Pierce, the DGR driver, is making his way down pit road. The first taker, and that is a correction. I keep saying that Brandon Pierce is an Apex driver. He is not. He is a DGR driver, so a correction there. Ryan McDaniel going to join him down pit road. And I got to say, James, I'm a little surprised. I didn't expect anybody to come in quite this early. Maybe splitting the stage in half at lap 40, but lap 37, that's a few laps sooner than I was expecting.
Yeah. We're almost halfway through this stage, and you had mentioned this earlier, which guys are going to come in, and split the stage. So now we're finding out who's going to split the stage for us. And and come in, get that early pit stop, and maybe try to finish out the stage with the tires they're about to get with the fuel, and then come in, at that caution with the end of the stage and see who runs all the way out through it.
A battle of the strategy, and the leaders are going to make their way down pit road. That's Bryson Nixonbaugh, Adam Benefiel, and Cameron Stone. And that is going to give the lead to Kevin Steele in that 24 car, who is still opting to stay on the track. So he is
here comes Dustin Hall down out of 7th. He's coming into pit road as well.
Getting busy down there.
Chad Edwards drops in. Bryce Hoffman's in the pits. Matthew Gaskins in the 79s went down into the pits. He's taking the pit time now. And there's Steele, who's running all alone by himself now. He's going to come in now.
And I think that's a move he had to make. I think he had to come down pit road once he saw everybody else pulling that shortstop strategy, trying to get the edge on him there. I think at that point, if he stayed out any longer, it would have just been very damaging, I think, to his track position.
Yeah, it's definitely. And for me, it's why would you want to risk, making that full lap to try to get a bigger lead on everybody? Like there's no point in it. Go ahead, play it smart, go on in there, get your tires, get your fuel, and get them back out on the track.
Right, and if this had been a race where we've had a lot of yellow flags and you maybe don't want to get trapped a lap down, should caution come out while you're pitting, I could understand that. But of course, this has been a very clean race so far, so definitely I think the smart call to come down.
And our new leader, Brian Branham, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Brian Branham is now dropped down. He was the lead for about a half a lap, and now he's on pit road. So it seems consistent now as the leaders get through, they start pitting.
So not many more cars left that have yet to pit. Looks like Stephen Parrott has inherited the lead, and he is going to stay on the track for a little bit longer. You would see him at least. And Dalton Mobley running second. Cody Bird in third. Cody, he's been really partial to these long run strategies. Last week at Auto Club, he ran a lot of laps with the long run strategy. About 13 laps, I think he led, staying out longer than everybody else, and he was just hoping for a caution or an issue that would allow him to be first place once that yellow flag flew, but didn't quite work out for him then. Maybe going to work out for him now as he's moved up into P2. If Stephen Parrott makes his way down pit road, Cody Bird's going to lead some more laps. So Cody, I think he's been talking a little bit about how he might not be able to win these races, but he wants to lead some laps. That's what he told me in Snapchat before this race. So if he can stay out as long as he can, that's what he's going to do.
Snapper chatters. There's nothing wrong with that, man. It's always great to build a rapport with some of these guys off the track, so that way you can get a general idea of how they're going to be racing, on the upcoming race. And that's always a good thing to do. But Cody Bird has taken over the lead now, and he's run, his last lap was a 33.9. And you did mention he has already pitted, right? 13?
No, he has not pitted.
He has not pitted. So he has not pitted.
The long run strategy.
The last one to pit, and he's running P1 right now, but his lap times are, so he dropped 2/10 right there. He's now down to 34.1. So we'll see how much longer he's going to stay out on the track with those old tires. I would guess he's going to pit the next time around. That's my guess.
I'm gonna go the opposite guess there, James. If you know Cody Bird, I think he's gonna come in about lap 60 when that thing's just about dry in the gas tank. So we'll see what he decides to do. But you can see the splits right there. That's the difference, folks, between fresh tires and old tires. And I'm not gonna read it backwards this time. We're gonna get it right. That's Bryson Hixenbaugh going faster. 2.3 seconds last time. Before that, it was a 2-second gap. So just about 2 seconds between old tires and new tires. It's absolutely incredible. And it kind of jumbles things up in these pit sequences when you have fresh tires and you get involved with some cars that maybe are on the older tires. That closing rate, man, it can catch you off guard, and you definitely have to be on the ball and on guard about the traffic. But Bryson Hixenbaugh seems to just navigate it flawlessly every single time. And again, Cody Bird's going to stay out another lap as, ooh, man, Ryan McDaniel, he just barely slid it up there. And that was a close call.
Yes, it was. And I stand corrected on Cody Bird. That shows my inexperience of these drivers. Again, I appreciate you guys bringing me in from SRM. And I'm glad to be here and be a part of the broadcast. And looking forward to seeing how the rest of this race goes.
To be fair, I don't think any commentator, whether they've been here for a long time or not, can really account for the Cody Bird factor.
There's nothing wrong with some of those guys. But there he goes.
Oh man, a little bit earlier than I thought. So lap 46, he stayed out roughly 10 laps longer than most of these drivers. He is going to make his way down pit road, and that's going to lead back to Bryson Hixenbaugh, and he is going to lead some more laps. A familiar sight tonight. Adam Benefiel, maybe not as good of a stop. He kind of lost some time there. You can see it's about a 2-second gap between your leader and second place. If they round, I believe that's corners 3 and 4. Benefiel losing a little bit of time as this run progresses, but one thing I know about Adam, and pretty much everybody on Team Conti, is that they are not ones to show their hands early in the race. Where you see them running early on is never indicative of where they're going to be at the end, because these guys constantly work on their cars. They make pit setup adjustments. They change their brake bias. They look at the lines of the track and they figure out where the speed is. And slowly over time, they just get faster and faster throughout a race. So I fully expect it to be another Adam Benefiel, Bryson Hixenbaugh battle before too long here, as stage 1 is slowly winding down. We're at lap 49 out of 80 in the stage.
Yeah, I'm sure that battle will get better as we move along, as we get ready to prepare for the end, here in the next couple of hours. Right here in the 7th and 8th slots, we have another battle still, I guess. They're kind of still hanging out with each other. Mason Lowry in the 56 and Brian Branham in the 74. Branham has been consistently running about a tenth faster the last probably 3 or 4 laps. And Branham is pulled himself up to the bumper, and he is waving hello into the rearview mirror as they get ready to come down the front straightaway. But that's the thing for me that I've noticed he goes into the turns a little slower, but he does come out a little faster. So we'll see how that one ends up playing out.
And we do have a car down pit road. Damaris Hickenbottom in that blue and orange 09 machine. He scraped the wall coming out of the corner pretty hard in front of the leaders. He was able to get out of everybody's way. He made a good recovery. Unfortunately, a lot of right side damage to that car, and I think he opted to come down, get some tires, get the damage fixed, as he is sitting in his pit stall right now, assuming getting that fixed up. So a rough night, just got a little bit rougher for that 09 car, unfortunately. As you can see on your screen, that's the battle between Cameron Stone and Ryan Samuelson, who is a lap down, VP18, but sort of keeping pace with the 57. He's running his lines, he's hitting his marks, and maybe a little bit fresher tires in that 57 as well, because he is actually through 3 and 4, going to close that gap quite a bit. Ryan Samuelson looking to work his way through the field and maybe unlap himself.
Yeah, let's hope he does, because that's one place you don't want to be, is a lap down. We're still kind of early, but you definitely don't want to go ahead and get a lap down, because you never know what could happen in this thing.
Absolutely, you want to be in the best track position possible, because there are so many things that could go wrong, so many things that could happen, and you want to be in the best position possible. You can see still, Damaris Hickenbottom sitting on pit road, must have had a lot of optional repairs, maybe hitting that wall a little bit harder than I initially thought. But right there on your screen, before we were looking at the 57, you can see the battle for the lead. And it looks to me like Adam Benefiel is slowly closing the gap. It was 2 seconds. Now it's 0.7 seconds. So that 83 car seems to be coming to life right now. Hixenbaugh was a tenth of a second slower last time, the time before that, and well, just about every single time in the last 5 laps. But Benefiel closing the gap quickly and consistently.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. The lap times are definitely within, a 15 tenths of a second faster for the number 2 car. I'm sorry, I lost the P2 car here. P2, there we go. There you go. 83 of P2 of Benefiel there. So he's definitely reeling himself in and trying to move around and get up to Hixenbaugh so he can get that lead. He wants to get up there and get that clean air and lead this race for a while. He's tired of seeing Hixenbaugh up there.
I tell you what, Adam Benefiel in clean air is a scary sight for anybody behind him, because it seems like once he gets the lead, he almost never relinquishes it. He is ad fast in clean air. We saw that last week once he got the lead. It was so tough for anybody to get back on him. But I'm looking, as we see the bumper cam of Bryson Hixenbaugh looking back towards Benefiel, you can see coming out of the corner, Benefiel got a little bit unsettled. The car sort of weight shifted. He had to make a little bit of a correction there. You would think that was a mistake or a bobble, but he seems to be doing that every single time he exits the corner, just about in 1 and 2. So I think that kind of shows us how hard he's driving that car. He is on the limit. If you're breaking that thing loose coming out of the corner consistently, that means you're trying to squeeze every bit of performance out of that car. So he's going to slide up the track just about half a car length behind the leader, and he's doing that every lap, James. I've noticed he slides up a lot sooner than Bryson Nixon, and yet still closes that gap.
Hey, he does, but that also brings in the tire wear. That's been the key ingredient for today is tires, big time, because it's a combination of the track itself, the temperature of the track, and it all depends on what groove depends on how long the tires are going to last. So you're mentioning that. So for me, it's really about which one's wearing the tires more, which one's wearing the tires less. So I guess we shall find out. But Benefield is definitely closing the gap more and more each lap. And I think it was about a half a lap, maybe a lap or so ago, he was right there on the bumper, but they passed lap traffic, and that slowed Benefield down just a little bit. So now he's got to regain all that position that he had lost. So he's got to gain all that right back. And as they get ready to come down the front straightaway, he's not but just a link and a half behind the leader. So we'll see how this plays out over the next couple laps. And he takes the outside here up toward the wall, and that affected him and slowed him down. He started into the turn nicely, but as they moved along, we had Ixenbaugh stayed low, and he just kind of came through the turns a little bit better, and he's still out front. Ixenbaugh's moving at about a 32.9 now. So we'll see how this battle goes over the next couple laps here.
And I think Benefield is just searching for the speed. He ran down low a couple of times. Now you can see on the bumper cam, looking back, he was running the high line through 1 and 2. He seems to be transitioning back and forth, trying the bottom, trying the top, trying the middle, just trying to figure out what works. I'm not sure what his thought process is there. It seemed like the line that he was running, where he kind of ran the middle and then drifted up, seemed to be working pretty well. But like you said, you were talking about the tire conservation. Maybe he thought getting such a shallow entry and then drifting up was wearing that right side tire a little bit too much. So maybe now he's trying to find a line that's a little bit less abrasive but still fast. And of course, closing the gap to Bryson Ixenbaugh is one thing. Passing is always going to be another, especially at a track like Homestead. The aero is so brutal here. Once you get up to the back bumper of the car ahead, it's like you're driving a totally different car. It just becomes so turbulent. Your car does all kinds of things in the corner that you don't expect it to do. Sometimes it gets tight, sometimes it gets loose, and it can be very difficult to account for. So it seems like while Adam Benefield made the charge to catch up to the leader, he seems to be struggling right now to actually complete the pass.
Exactly. And I think that, we have about 20 laps to go in the first stage here. But as this battle continues up front, I have to piggyback on what you're saying. I think maybe those few laps that he was trying to catch up to Ixenbaugh there, I think he may have, noticed his tires were getting worn a lot quicker than he wanted. So I think maybe that's caused him to just slow down a little bit and take his time and just kind of relax a little bit, just hang out in second, not give up too many links, but also don't try to fight it too hard right now because we are still early. We're still in the first stage. Got to conserve those tires. And maybe he's thinking in his mind that Ixenbaugh's running through his tires. But, you said Ixenbaugh is one of those tough guys to pass. So maybe he's trying to run a little high, run a little low, and see which way is going to be the groove he wants to take once he gets ready to make that pass. But I think that he's going to just hang out in second for the rest of the stage here and just kind of finish out there and then try to make a move, once we get into the second stage.
I agree. I think, keeping your tires cool and taking it easy with about 20 to go, that could be the key, because if you keep your tires cool and you keep your equipment fresh, you could make a late race charge at it with about 10 or 5 laps to go in the stage. But on your screen there for a minute was the number 9, Jonathan Delaney. He has worked his way all the way back up to P3. Last time around, he ran a 33.2, I apologize. And the leader ran a 33.0. So about 2/10 off the leader. But again, he's been dealing with a little bit of traffic. And he did have to work his way around Ryan McDaniel, who the leaders passed not too long ago. And he's just been slowly but steadily regaining those positions that he lost with that slide he had early on in the race. And I think once we get to this stage end, he's going to get some fresh tires on there. He's going to line up somewhere towards the front. And hopefully, in his mind at least, hopefully he's going to make a charge at it. But right now, I think he's just taking it easy. He's up to P3. The leaders are a ways out. So just conserve, take it easy. And on your screen there, that's Cameron Stone, who he was running up front quite a bit early on, now P4 behind Jonathan Delaney. 33.5 last time around, so lap time's a little bit off the leaders. Not quite as fast as Delaney either, so maybe struggling with the setup for that car.
It's a valid point. That's another thing about this track is the setups are always different. So maybe there's a lot of things that some of these drivers are realizing now as we're getting, we're getting a little later into it. We're on 60. Looks like we're about to hit lap 66. So some of these guys are starting to realize that maybe they're a little too tight or they're a little too loose. And, they'll have to work on some of that wedge when we get to the end of stage 1 here. So we'll see how it goes. I'm interested to see how much different and how many similarities we're going to have in stage 2. So that's something I'm looking forward to.
It's a very dynamic thing when the track temp changes, when the track rubbers up, and of course everybody's cars start to settle in for the race. It's always changing, so it's going to be interesting to see, like you said, how many similarities do we see between stage 1 and stage 2. In my experience, it seems like stage 1 and stage 2 always play out fairly similar. The guys who are dominating stage 1 usually dominate stage 2. But when you get to stage 3 and the cards are on the table, the laps are winding down, that's when things really get shaken up and things get changed quite a bit. And maybe part of that is just how long stage 3 is compared to the rest of the stages. It's going to be, I believe, just over 100 laps for stage 3, which is the longest length these guys are going to have. So their cars are going to have to put up with a lot more long runs than any time in the race. So you're going to have to deal with that. But a lot of single file action. You can see Ryan McDaniel now under pressure from some more cars trying to work their way around him. Ryan talked to me a little bit pre-race, and he just wasn't happy with the car. He said he was turning laps that he thought would be decent, and then he looked at the qualifying grid and thought, man, it's just not enough. So unfortunately, really struggling with the setup, which I think is a common theme tonight, James. We see so many cars that just don't quite look hooked up, and I think Homestead is just one of the toughest tracks to make a really good setup for.
Yes, I agree with that. It really is. And Homestead, for me personally, is one of my favorite tracks to watch because there's always great action. Now, you do have your long runs like this, but the more I have watched racing and the more I've learned, it's always about the setups and the tires and who's running their car the best, who's running the fastest times, but at the same time, being able to make these long runs with those consistent times. And I bring that up because Kevin Steele has moved this up 5th. And he ended up dropping back because, he went into the pit, but now he's back up to 5th, and he's running, he's been in the 33.3s the last 2 or 3 laps as he had just passed, I'm trying to remember who he passed. It was Gaskins in the 79. Who's running 21st right now at a 33.9. So Steele's running pretty good speed right now as we're getting ready to close in on lap about 70, 71. So we've got about 9 to go here, 8 or 9 to go left in the first stage. So it's interesting for me to see how this is going to wound up.
Absolutely. And on your screen there for a minute was the battle between the number 1 Dustin Hall and the DGR driver Brandon Pierce in that 38 car. The number 1 has been on the hunt. He closed the gap a lot. And you can see in the center of the corner, he seems to just get that car dialed in. He rolls through the center, closes the gap quite a bit, and then coming down the straightaway, Brandon Pierce gets that run, so he's not quite able to get to the quarter panel. He can't really side draft. Not much he can really do to counter that. And of course, this time through the corner, looks like the number 1 is taking a higher lane. Like he's going to try to get that run down the straightaway. Let's see if maybe that pays off for him. But this is definitely one of the closest battles on the track, and it's for P8. They make their way down into 3 and 4. Looks like the 1's going to take a really high entry, dive it down. You can see just how much he closes that gap in the center, down to half a car length from about a car length and a half going in. And Brandon Pierce didn't quite get the run out that he's been getting, so maybe that 1 car starting to get a bit of an advantage here as they come into 1 and 2. He's going to send it in deep to the quarter panel of the 38. He's going to have to lift a little bit down onto that white line. He touches the apron, gets a little unsettled. He's going to keep in the throttle, though. Still bumper to bumper down the backstretch.
That was close right there. Yeah, they're definitely bumper to bumper like summer traffic in Gulf Shores. And trust me, I know all about it because I live down here. But this is definitely a beautiful race right here. But I think with the as they come out of, I think it was turn 2 or 3 a while ago. They, I don't think the 38 there. I don't think he was able to just feather the gas pedal. As you see, Hall is getting ready to pass Pierce, but he almost runs him up again. so he had to back off of it. So that right there, that's
Sudden.
causing a lot of that's causing him to lose a lot of time right there. So Hall that's the second or third time he's been able to try to make a move right there. But as he gets ready to make that move, he pulls up and almost runs into it. But he's running a clean race. I like that. He could have easily, hit that left rear quarter panel and spun him out and took that position away from him. But no, he decided to back it off. Keep running in ninth right now. So a clean race, I like that. So we'll see how these two end up holding out here in the next couple laps.
You make a great point. The way he was racing, it was very aggressive, but it was smart and it was clean. Like you said, he easily could have slid up. He easily could have moved him out of the way, but no, he kept it clean, played it smart, and he threw his best at it. He didn't quite make the pass, and I think that's something we're gonna see change throughout the night. Is you saw the number one car try to dive it down on the bottom, but every time he did, he got really loose because not many cars are running the very bottom of the track, and as a result, the bottom lane's not rubbering up. It's very loose if you get your car down there. There's less heat, there's less rubber. So trying to make sliders, you kind of have to make sure that you can get clear so that you can slide back up to where the grip is. If you have to run the bottom lane the full corner, you're going to have a bad time. But as this race goes on, that bottom lane is going to get a little bit more rubber, and it's going to get a little bit more heat. And I think these drivers are going to have more success when they throw these moves down on the bottom and they try to ride that white line. It's just going to be a matter of waiting for the track to come to them.
Exactly, and as we mentioned with that, Dustin Hall slowed down a bit, and he's got RJ Root on his rear bumper. He is running up. Dustin Hall's last lap was a 33.7, and RJ Root's was a 33.5. So Root, who's running in 10th right now in that number 8 car, is gaining some momentum, and he's catching up to the number 1 of Hall there. And opinion here from you, Andre, do you think that one was maybe because Hall slowed down, or you think that the 8's actually just he's getting that speed up and catching him? Well, now after the move was made 3 laps ago.
I think it's a combination of both of those things, honestly. I think the number 1, he really used his tires up, making those aggressive moves, sliding the car through the corners, trying to make that pass on Brandon Pierce. He was unsuccessful in the pass, and now he's kind of just left with a set of tires that are scuffed up, maybe not on their A game. And RJ Root, he's just kind of been riding behind him, watching these guys battle, not pushing his car, not being super aggressive. So I think his tires are a little bit more intact right now. That car is looking pretty good. You can see when he goes into the corner. Some of these guys are sliding into the corner. They get a little bit sideways, but that 8, it's planted. It is super planted. You can see he just holds his line super steady coming through the corner, and running that high line is going to give him a little bit of a run out. And I think before this stage is over, we're going to see him attempt to make the move. But looking a little bit forward through the field, just an update on the leaders. Bryson Ixenbaugh still leading the way, and it is quite a gap back to Benefield. He's started to drop back a little bit again. It's about a second and a half roughly. And of course, we saw him as close as 0.2 seconds to the leader earlier on, falling back now as the leader is going to cross the line for lap 80. Once we complete lap 80, I believe it's 10 cars have to cross the line for lap 80. The competition caution will be thrown, the stage 1 will be over, and we're going to rack them and stack them to get ready to race again.
I like how you put that in there, rack them and stack them. I like it. Yeah, I like it. It was a good, clean stage 1. Everything's fine. Everything was fun. It looks like Ixenbaugh will end up getting the stage 1 victory. I guess that's how you want to word it. And then Benefield will follow behind him with Delaney rounding out the top 3. But once those 10 get through, we'll get that competition caution out. We'll get them all lined back up and get it started back up. Now, what do you think here strategy-wise? You think you pit, or do you stay out?
Oh, you got to pit. I think if you stayed out, that would be kind of disastrous, starting in front of the field with tires that have a good 40 or so laps on them. Unless you're Cody Bird. I mean, Cody Bird, he might be able to stay out. He stayed out longer than anybody else. So his tires may be in a little bit better shape. But I think everybody is probably going to come take 4 fresh Goodyears and some fuel. And I think, honestly, Bryson Ixenbaugh was probably pretty happy that stage ended when it did, because you saw as well as I did, James, when they crossed that line, there was a good 6 or 7 lap cars in a line in front of him that maybe would have allowed Benefield to close that gap had we continued on green racing.
That's right. It sure was. And yes, Bryson Ixenbaugh will get the stage 1 win in this 100% Cup Series race at Homestead Miami. And we will take this moment to thank you guys for joining us as you enjoy some fast-paced, entertaining laps for the day. If there's any questions you may have, feel free to comment. We'll try our best to get to them and answer them. And it seems like we're going to have most of the field pitting here as we get ready to set up for stage 2.
Leader making his way down onto the apron. This is a tough track to pit under green. A little bit easier when you're under yellow, but this pit road entry can be a little bit tricky with that shift from the banking to the flat apron. So a lot of these drivers, I'm sure, are glad that they can get a lot of their pitting done under yellow with these stage breaks. Of course, the cars that are a lap down are going to stay out this time, and the next time around, they're going to be able to make their way down, get 4 fresh tires, and looks like a clean pit stall entry for the stage winner, Bryson Hixenbaugh. Didn't overslide it, didn't overshoot it. We've had a lot of pretty much flawless pit sequences this season. Seems like last season, towards the end of the year, at least one driver every time seemed to overshoot, but no, it's been pretty much clean and clear. Bryson Hixenbaugh, first off pit road. And now that he's clear out of pit road, James, what do you say we bring him down here and have a word with our stage winner?
Let's bring him in.
Bryson Hixenbaugh, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, you won stage 1 in pretty dominant fashion. It looked for a little while like Adam Benefield was going to close that gap and challenge you for it. Then his car started to fade. What was going through your mind as you were fighting for the lead there at mid-stage?
I was just looking at my mirror and seeing how hard he was sending it into the corner. He was pushing it very, very hard, trying to get around the dirty air. I think it just hurt his front tires a little bit too much, so he had to fall back. And at that point, he didn't have enough speed to overcome the dirty air there.
Absolutely. Going into stage 2, I'm assuming looking to carry the momentum that you had. Of course, last week we saw a lot of cars kind of work on their setups and adjust over the course of the race, and it seemed like everybody's pace sort of shifted. What are you expecting to see going forward in this race?
It's going to be interesting seeing who gets out in front on these restarts. I think Adam, if he gets out front, he could drive away from it because he's got pretty good middle of the run speed, and then the long run speed, he'll be able to hold on to it. If John can get up here, he was very fast this week. He had a network issue that dropped him from the lead, so we'll see if he gets back to clean air, how that'll work. But it's going to be interesting to see who can get the short run, get up to the lead, and try and hold on to it.
All right.
Hey, Bryson, this is James Siegel here with SRM. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing good.
All right, so you moved up from 5th to 1st. What was going through your mind as you moved through the field to get up to 1st?
Yeah, it's just pushing it really hard on the start there. I needed to get as close to the front as possible. I think we almost wrecked it, actually, passing Brandon for 3rd. And just pushing it hard early on, trying not to lose any positions or any momentum, and moving forward.
Well, you were able to do that, and congratulations on the stage win. And moving forward into stage 2, you'll be out in front. Are you going to, obviously you want to continue running the same path. Are you going to try to pull away and just kind of dominate, or you want to just hang out a little bit and see how this stage unfolds for you?
I'd like to run away and dominate it, but yeah, I don't think that's really going to be possible. I think you're going to see guys stay about 1 second back.
All right. Well, Bryson.
Thanks, Bryce. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yep. Thanks for your time, BX. We're going to put you back up in your channel. Good luck with the rest of the race, bud.
Yep. Thank you.
That was your stage 1 winner, Bryson Hixenbaugh. Well, James, you've heard of short run speed and you've heard of long run speed, but Bryson said that Benefield has mid run speed. So that's kind of interesting.
Yes. Kind of took me off for a minute. I was not expecting that, but I like it. I really do.
He's not wrong. That was where Benefield seemed to come to life. I mean, about the middle of that run, he really came to life. And then, like Bryson said, he seemed to have burned up his tires. But Benefield, he's a driver that learns from his mistakes. He learns from things that happen in the race. And I think you're going to see him be a little bit more conservative-minded with the tires, and definitely going to make a charge at it here. And, of course, Jonathan Delaney starting inside row 1. The leader has opted to take the outside, so that's going to put John Delaney right there on the inside row 1. He's going to try to get a good start.
There goes
Bryson
the
Nixon.
car. Go ahead.
He's known for those really great restarts where he jumps out a couple of car lengths. I'm sorry to cut you off there, James. He's known for these really great restarts, and he does it again. About a 2-car length gap back to second, right out the gate.
He mentioned that he would like to get out and just run away from the pack, and there he goes. So we'll see how long before we get Delaney, catching up on his rear bumper along with the rest of the pack. So we're right back. Everybody's packed up again, and on the move already is the 83 33.
Whoa, a little bit too
Whoa,
much.
whoa. Yes, too much, too much. He almost
Oh,
lost
man.
it. It was a good save by Benefield there.
That
And
was a
then
heck of a save.
Branham has moved from 6th to 3rd. If I'm not mistaken, he is up to 3rd now. I believe he started in 6th. So he took advantage of the mistake and decided to move up to 3rd place. And Benefield made that mistake, and it costed him a couple of spots. He still was up in front now, but Benefield's made the pass back around still as they get ready to come down the back straightaway? Front straightaway. I'm on the blimp view here, so
They're pretty much the same.
Yeah, that's the thing about this. Like turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, everything all looks the same, and it's like, where are you at? So you got to kind of guess. So forgive me for being wrong, but I was definitely thinking that was the back straightaway.
It's a very symmetrical track, very symmetrical. I guess I should just stop saying things, James. I said Benefield was going to be a little bit more focused on conservation. What does he do in turn 1? He immediately sends it too deep, slides the tires, and loses a few spots. So maybe I was a little bit off on my calculations, as I tend to be. So he's going to have to work his way back up through the field as he's under fire from Kevin Steele. You can see that 24 car is just running the row line there, trying to get underneath the 83. Not quite going to find much success on the bottom of it now. Looking at the battle, that is the 77 Dalton Mobley on your screen. He's in the middle of a 3-car gaggle, I guess you could say. And behind them, you got another 3-car train. Seems like a little bit of separation early on, but also some good battles. That's Chad Edwards moving to the high side of Dalton Mobley, it looks like. Now side by side, they're going to sort that out, I think.
Let's hope they work that out, because they were getting close there for a minute between Bryce Hoffman and Chad Edwards right there in the 11th and 12th spots. So both of those guys were battling to get up toward the top 10. And Chad Edwards' last lap time was a 32.3, and Bryce Hoffman's was a 32.0. So Hoffman definitely ran a better lap on the last one. If he can consistently do that. But as you see, Edwards stays up around the second group there as they come out of turn 4, or go into turn 4 out of 3, and Hoffman stayed kind of low. So they're running close together. I like the way they're racing. They're staying close without getting dangerously close, and they're both on the understanding of who's in which groove. But who's on pit? Look like we got somebody in pit road, huh?
Oh, that's the number 1. Oh, wow. Okay, so that's Dustin Hall making his way down pit road early. Maybe some damage, maybe a cut down tire. But going back to this battle between Chad Edwards and Bryce Hoffman, these drivers are teammates for LMM, Loudmouth Racing, and I had an interesting, kind of a funny conversation with Bryce Hoffman. I'm the team owner for Loudmouth Motorsports, and he said, I just don't want to be too aggressive around my teammates. And I said, well, there are no team orders at Loudmouth Motorsports. You can do whatever you want when you're near your teammates. And it looks like he's taken that advice to heart as these guys are continuing to trade positions. The 21 got clear of the 4. Bryce Hoffman got ahead of Chad Edwards, and Edwards immediately dove down low and tried to get around him at the bottom. The move was blocked. He lost his momentum. They're going to single file it out and continue their battle for P10 there, trying to crack the top 10. And, of course, looking forward, there's another side-by-side battle going on the track. That's more teammates. It's another set of teammates for Apex Racing. Cameron Stone, Kevin Steele, side-by-side. We're going to way down the backstretch. We're going to see coming through 3 and 4 what lane prevails here. I said earlier, I think the bottom lane is going to come to life a little bit. And it seems like it has, as the 57 is going to throw a great slider on his teammate there, Kevin Steele. He slides up in front of him, gets clear. That's going to put him comfortably up into P5. Now he has his sights set on, looks like Brian Branham. And, of course, Adam Benefield up there in P3. So Cameron Stone really on the move is now, James. He's going to try to get to the quarter panel of that 74.
Yes, absolutely. And they got beautiful racing going on here. And Stone's making moves as he's kind of hugging down toward the line. And right there you see slowed down. He was afraid he was going to get that left for a quarter panel of Branham there. So, again, much respect to all the guys that are, trying to go down to the white line. But as that second groove, as those guys come from the high side down onto them, everybody backs off. They don't, very easily they could just slide up, give them that little bump, move them out of the way, but they don't. They back off, and let's get the clean racing going. So that, a lot of respect, a lot of hats off to these guys for doing that. It could have went the wrong way either way, as you got the 4th, 5th, and 6th positions here battling it out together with Branham and Stone and Steele all running together. Now this time, Stone takes the outside as they come across the start-finish line, and he moves out in front.
Seems like that bottom's not quite rubbering up like these drivers would hope that it is. If they could get a little bit of grip down there, or maybe even get some adjustments made to their car where it ran the bottom a little bit more consistently, they'd be able to make some great moves, but it's just so slick down there. They put their car down there, and it immediately, it's like they get on a slip and slide. It's all over the place. Now, Kevin Steele's going to look high. He saw his teammate, but now he wants to try it for himself. But Brian Ranum, he learned from Cameron Stone. He slid up in front of the 24. He said, "No, not this time. You can try again next corner."
He gave him the Dikembe Mutombo, not in my house. And he definitely blocked him there. Branham's running in 5th. And, again, Stone's pulled away a little bit here as they get ready to go down the back straightaway. But still, now he's back to the drawing board. He tried to go up high and he was blocked. So what's he going to do next time? It looks like he's going to try to go low as they go into turns 3 and 4. But he stays into 2. He stays in that second groove right behind him. So we'll see how Steele makes a move here to try to get into 5th if he's able to catch back up and get back over to, try to make that pass again. And as we talk about that, Mason Lowry in the 56 car has moved up, and he's in Steele's rearview mirror, waving, "Hello, buddy, don't forget about me." So he's in 6th trying to crack the, I'm sorry, correction on that. He's in 7th trying to fight with Steele to get to that top 5. So the 5, 6, and 7 right here, a nice 3-way battle as we move along into lap number almost 100. We're about 99?
Just about lap 99, and player 3 has entered the battle. You're right, Mason Lowry. He has closed this gap quite a bit in that number 56 car for LMM. But I'm looking at the 24 car, Kevin Steele, and I'm no expert, I'm no crew chief, but as I watch the car go through the corner, it seems like that front end is kind of sliding back and forth, like it's trying to fight him all throughout the corner, and that tells me he's struggling with front end grip. So that's not a fun thing to deal with, especially at a track like Homestead. If your front end is not planted, if you're fighting that thing throughout the whole corner, you're going to lose a lot of speed, and what's worse is you're going to wear your tires out even faster because it's constantly sliding around, heating those tires up. So he's running a good line, and he's doing a good job controlling that car for what it is, but it just looks like to me, from up in the booth, like that car is just really struggling with that front end grip, and I think that's something that a lot of these guys are struggling with this track and just how hot it is. It's always tough to get this car planted, and now looks like he's moving to the bottom. He wasn't trying to overtake the 74. Kevin Steele just ran the bottom there to see how it handled, and actually, I think it worked out for him. Last time around, it was a 33.06. This time it was a 33.05. So about 1,000th of a second faster, and not much of a gain, but hey, a gain is a gain.
Hey, that's right. Especially in this sport, any time faster than the last one is always a bonus. And that we'll see if he continues to do this as we move on through with the tire wear. As you mentioned, his front is just loose going into the turn, so he slacked off. But that's also allowed Lowry, who's running a 33.1 on just that past lap. We're still running 33.2, so Lowry is moving right along. He's trying to catch up to Steele and make that pass and see if he can make a move. And as we're talking about this battle, Brandon Pierce in the 8th position is moving himself on up there. He's only a few lengths behind Lowry. So right here in this middle part of the top 10 is where, well, I guess the back of the top 10, 6, 7, 8, 9. Everybody's starting to gather up right here and give a nice battle out of it.
Absolutely. It's been pretty much great racing all over the track for all different positions that we've seen throughout the night. And that battle that we were focusing on earlier between RJ Root and Brandon Pierce, it's not over. These guys are continuing to battle it out as the 8 car has closed the gap to Brandon Pierce considerably. As you see the rear bumper cam looking back towards that 8 machine. Going through the corner, looks like the 8 runs a little bit lower on entry, slides up a little bit higher on exit. Of course, that exit speed is what carries him through. 38 pinches it down low. He's scrubbing away a little bit of speed, so we're going to see if RJ Root can finally complete this overtake. And I got to mention it every time we talk about this car, but that spec map that RJ Root has on that number 8 on the side of his car is just absolutely gorgeous. I have never seen anything like that on a race car, but I always love getting to focus on this car and seeing it battle it out.
And that's sometimes that's what it is. Like I told you at the beginning of the race, it's those cars that have that paint schemes that just say, "Hey, look at me, I'm right here," but are they going to drive like that as well? And That's what it is. And there's Pat Mooch in the 46 just come down on the inside of Lowry and Root right there as he makes a pass. I want to say he's a lap down, so he's moving his way back up toward the front, trying to get that lead, trying to get back on that lead lap. And excuse me, Root is hanging right there with him. And Mobley, who is running in 10th in the 77, he's moving himself right along. But it looks like he's also just kind of driving, just kind of hanging out, tagging along, trying to see what's going on. As right here, Root drops low and makes the pass.
Finally got it completed.
And he holds it. He held the pass that time. I held my breath, honestly.
Me too. That was quite the slide job, but he pulled it off. I'm looking at the 47 machine, Patrick Much. He has a little bit of right front damage. I'm sorry, 46 car. I apologize. A little bit of right front damage on that. I'm not sure what happened to him. We seem to have missed that, but he is on fresher tires and he is a lap down. His lap time is pretty much faster than anybody else on the track with those fresh tires. It was a 32.7 last time around, and you can compare that to the leader, Bryce Mixonbach, was a 33.0. So he is trying to unlap himself to hopefully be out ahead of the leader should we get a caution if anything happens. He's definitely on pace to do that right now, but tell you what, right now you can see Kevin Steele still it seems like he's been involved in a battle throughout this whole race. He never has a minute to breathe. He's up to P6, and he is still slowly reeling in Brian Branham. They're running pretty much 1-to-1. Every time Brian makes a little bobble, Kevin makes a little bobble. And then when Kevin Steele picks up the pace and he gained a little bit, 74 picks up the pace and he gained a little bit. So it's been a heated battle with these guys all race long, and I'm curious to see once this run gets on a little bit longer and the tires start to wear a little bit more, which car prevails in this situation.
Exactly right. As we are on lap 108, and this battle right here between Kevin Steele, it's hard to forget his name because as an Auburn fan, that was our defensive coordinator up until this year. So him and Brian Branham are right here still battling it out, and they've been battling it for probably a dozen or so laps. But Branham's last lap was a 33.4, and Steele's was a 33.39. So he's right there with him, and they're kind of push come to shove, really. They're staying neck and neck. Their times are identical. Their speeds are identical. But it seems to me like Branham gets just a little bit more momentum coming off of the straightaway, and that's what's keeping Steele from being able to catch up to him.
Listening in on the driver's radio, it sounds like the number 9 and the 83 had a little bit of a disagreement over the radio. These guys not too happy with each other. And that's kind of interesting because they're not far from each other on the track. The 83 closing in considerably on Jonathan Delaney in that 9 car. Only about a 2-car length gap between them. And as these laps wind down, it looks like Adam Benefield is going to lap a little bit quicker than Delaney. 33.21 to Delaney's 33.27. So a little bit quicker. We know Adam Benefield's his car seems to struggle in the dirty air when he gets behind somebody, but still, that car's showing a lot of pace, and curious to see how aggressive he gets after that little bit of a disagreement on the radio.
We'll see how that plays out here in the next couple of laps. But as you mentioned, their track times, Mixonbach ran a 33.1 on his last time, so he's out front with that clean air just moving along. But I would like to focus on this battle between Delaney and Benefield here. They're talking to each other on the radio. It also, for me, sometimes if you get into somebody's head, it can affect the way they drive. And they're driving this close, having words. But we definitely want to keep an eye out for it and make sure nothing really happens. And as we mention it, and as they talk to each other, Moosh is, he's running in 19th, but he's right behind both drivers as he's trying to get back on the lead lap. So hopefully, if anything does prevail out of this, hopefully he doesn't get involved in it. So we'll see how it turns out and see what happens.
Absolutely. And, looking at Adam Benefield's car, he really seems like he has a bit of a loose car. If he wants to, he can really sail it into the corner. He can get a little bit sideways. And a loose car is a fast car, but you got to keep it under control. So it seems like Adam Benefield is kind of opting to run a stable pace, not trying to get this car too out of control. But the fact that he can get it as loose as he has a couple times over these last few laps tells me he's got a little bit in his pocket. If he ever needs to really pick up the pace, if push comes to shove, I think that car's got a little bit more than what he's showing us.
I agree. He's he's not showing his entire hand right now, which I do feel like once we get later on into stage 3 with, 30, 40 laps to go, I think the aggression might come out a little more. Well, I guess aggression's a bad word, but he might show his, he might show his hand a little more then, and we'll see just what the car can do for us, because he is hanging in there at the number 3 slot, but he run a 33.4 on his last lap, so we'll see what he can do. I think he might be able to get ready to make a move here shortly and possibly make a pass. But then again, he could just kind of hang out in that 3rd slot and just kind of let the nerves calm down, let the tempers bring it back down a notch or two, and just kind of hang out a little bit.
And it looks like we got, I believe that's Cameron Stone making his way down pit road. He's going to get down into his pit stall, and it's a clean entry. So one of the first takers for this pit sequence, it would seem. And I think that could be a power play there, James. If he's coming in this early, we know how much faster fresh tires are. I think
and here comes Benefield, too.
Benefield in that 83. Dustin Hall, who I believe is still a lap down. Kevin Steele, Damaris Hickenbottom, they're going to make their way down pit road and join their teammates. And pit road getting a little bit busy here on lap 116.
Let's keep an eye on Hickenbottom here. Let's see when he decides to take his green flag. There it is. I mentioned it, and there he goes. So he held on to the lead for one more lap, and now he's going to, give up the lead as he drops down into pit road to get some tires and some fuel. So that hands over the lead to Dulaney. I'm sorry.
Jonathan Delaney appeared in the lead. I'll tell you what, James, with the gap to second place being about 2 to 3 seconds before they entered, and we know fresh tires are about 2 seconds faster, Benefield pitted 1 lap before Bryson. So these guys might cycle out right with one another.
Yes, exactly. And that's what we're going to see, and we're getting a lot of that action with these long green flag runs. We're getting to see who's able to get that 1 more lap out there, 2 more laps, or 3 more laps. Just, they're hanging out in the back of the pack, but they're still getting those couple extra laps out there, and that could come into effect as we get ready to come down to the last 15, 20 laps or so. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Absolutely. Jonathan Delaney made his way down pit road. He's going to go ahead and get back on the track and rejoin, and looks like the gap between Bryson Hickenbottom and Adam Benefield under that pit sequence did indeed close, just not quite as much as Benefield was hoping. They got about, looks like, roughly 14, 15 car lengths, but that's still about twice as close as he was before this sequence. So we know that 83 has, as Bryson put it, mid-run pace. So I think as this run goes on, we're probably going to see the 83 close that gap up, and just like in stage 1, he's going to try and make a charge at it mid-run. If the car can stick with him, if he can keep his tires intact, we're going to have a battle on our hands for sure.
That's right, exactly. I agree with that one. And Delaney's still out there. He has yet to pit, as he just ran a 33.4 on those old tires. So we're on lap 120 now. So we've got 40 more to go. Yeah, 40 more to go. Sorry.
Also, correction, I thought I saw Delaney make his way down pit road. I said he had pitted. I guess he has not. There's a similar looking car out there, I suppose, because I swear I seen him make his way out of pit road, but that's a correction on my part. My bad, is now Delaney is actually going to pit for realsy reals this time.
For realsy reals.
Whoa! Matthew Gaskins had some issues entering pit road.
That's not going to help his time any. He's already in the 20th position.
He missed pit road, put the car in reverse, drove back around the sand barrels, and then entered pit road. Oh, man, that's, like you said, that's not helping his efforts here any. We're taking a look at a replay here. We're going to rewind it a little bit here, and we're going to see exactly, we got another car. Yep, there he goes. Just overshot it, locked those tires up, and slid right by. Puts it in reverse, gets back in pit road.
Yeah, that definitely did not help his cause any. Now, if this was a caution, it may not be a big deal, but that's going to cost him here. Like I said, he's already in the 20th slot, so that's not going to help his case any once he gets back out on pit road. Gets back off pit road.
Yeah, anytime lost under a pit sequence when you're green flag racing is just amplified. You lose 1 second on your pit road entry or something like that, and that can translate to 6 or 7 seconds on track. So that's definitely going to be rough for him. He's going to be hoping for a caution, I'm sure, to get regrouped and make a comeback effort. But Bryson Hixenbaugh extending the gap over Benefield a little bit. It's up to, I believe that is 1.7 seconds, if I'm reading it correctly. 1.1, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It's
his
very
last
small.
lap was a 31.5.
Yeah, he is really booking it. 31.7 that time around for Bryson.
Yes. He crossed the start-finish line at 180 miles an hour. So he's got that number 63 on cruise control, and he's just riding, and hopefully he's not wearing his tires out too much, but he is kind of riding the high side, so I don't think that's wearing out too much tires. So hopefully he can keep it moving and keep extending that lead, because I know that's what he wants to do, is get out, take charge, and have a huge lead as we get ready to go and start worrying our way into the final few laps of stage 2 here. As Benefield, his last one was a 31.8, so again, fresh tires, faster laps. So we'll see how this all plays out. And I'm trying to find third position. No, it's Cameron Stone. He ran a 31.9 in the 57 machine here, so he was able to run a 31.9. And in fourth was RJ Root. He ran a 32.2. And then I'll just go ahead and finish out the top 5 here with Kevin Steele. He ran a 31.8. So that tells you the difference in the times right there. Is they all went down and got fresh tires. Now they're all under 32 seconds. They're all up in the 31, upper 31s. So some fast times out there now. Let's see how long these fast times will last for these tires, as Steele got pushed back to 6th now.
I'm going to knock on wood.
Delaney took over 5th right there.
It was an impressive move Delaney made right there. I'm going to knock on wood. I don't want to jinx this, but I just got to say I am impressed with how clean this race has been. Auto Club, we had some disconnection issues. We had to throw some competition cautions to get the connection issues sorted out. But there were no cautions for cause. So no cautions for anybody wrecking. And now in this race, still no cautions for cause. It's been incredibly clean racing, and I think that speaks volumes about the skill level in this field. Everybody is here for a reason. Everybody shows up to race, and they've just done such a phenomenal job this entire season. And it's just been so fun to watch. The more green flag racing you get, the more battles you get, the more fun it is to watch. And just a great show these guys have been putting on all season long.
Exactly. And speaking of battles, Delaney just passed Root.
Delaney working his way back up through the field.
Exactly. That's what I was getting at right there. Delaney has moved up. He just passed Root, so that's going to put him up into the 4th slot right there. As Cameron Stone is still in 3rd. And then we move back along. We got Delaney in the 4th, and like I said, Root just got passed. But right behind him in 6th, Kevin Steele hanging out in the top 10, just hanging there. He's not going away, and I really feel like he is refusing to go away by any means. And then Branham running there in 7th. And 8th is Mason Lowry in the 56 machine. 9th would be Chad Edwards in the 4 machine. And then let's see who's running out the top 10 is Bryce Hoffman. Haven't spoken much about him today, but he's running in 10th. His last lap was a 32.29. So he's running a pretty good lap speed as well. So the whole top 10 is, they're all moved up into the lower 32s now. So the laps are already starting to slow down.
Absolutely. And Hoffman actually lapping faster than the leader currently. You can see on lap 126, it was 0.2 faster than Hixenbaugh. Lap 127 was 1/10 faster. So he's running at a pretty good pace. And remember, Hoffman started at the tail end of the field. So to work your way up into the top 10 after starting dead last after some qualifying issues, that is an impressive rally to try and come back up through the field for sure.
And we just had another pass. McRae was passed by Brandon Pierce. So Pierce has moved up to 11th now, trying to fight his way up to the top 10 in that 38 car. So he's got Matt Gaskins in between him and Bryce Hoffman for the 10th spot. So he's got a ways to go, but he's definitely moving right along and coming on up, trying to get into that top 10. But he'll have to get around Gaskins first, who is a lap car. So we'll see how well he can get around Gaskins and continue to move up and try to get into that top 10 spot.
Right. I don't think Gaskin's going to put up too much of a fight. I mean, being a lap down, you'd think he's going to go ahead and kind of give him the lane. We'll have to wait and see. obviously, the lap cars, they have no obligation. They're running their race. They have every right to be running whatever pace they want to run or whatever line. But everybody in this league, and you mentioned it earlier when the number one was battling so hard with the 74, there's a lot of respect between these drivers. Everybody in this league kind
Yes.
of respects one another. And that's why a lot of this lap traffic has been so easy to navigate for these guys because, mutual respect. Nobody wants to be that guy. And we got another car down pit road. That's Damaris Hickenbottom. He has not been having a good time tonight. I noticed a few times I was watching his car a few laps ago, and he's been getting really sideways. I think he made contact with the wall again not too long ago. That car not handling how he wants it. And I said it before, I'll say it again. Homestead, definitely a difficult track to just dial your car in for and to get that setup tuned in.
Yes, I agree, and you're absolutely right. He's had a rough run. He's had a rough race. He's been in the back the whole time, pretty much. So definitely not a good day for him. But he's still out there. He's still running. He's still putting his time in. And respect for that, because a lot of guys could just give up and say, "Bump it, I don't want to do this no more," and just go get out and throw their helmet across the pit road. But no, he's gonna hang in there, finish his race out, run his, as you were mentioning about, lap cars running their lines and their times. He's hanging in there and he's not giving up. So much respect for that.
And that is Damaris Hickenbottom. He is definitely very dedicated, and he is a never give up kind of guy. He will finish the race by any means necessary if he can. If the car has four wheels and an engine left in it, he is going to try and finish it out. And I've always admired that. He's got a lot of tenacity to get back in the car and then, just finish it out whenever he can. So, and you got to think, just in finishing the race, sometimes you can get more points than if you just gave up and DNF'd. If anything happens to any of these drivers, if somebody wrecks out or DNFs or disconnects, and you stay out on the track, you're going to get past them on the scoreboard eventually, and that's just a few more points to your name.
Exactly. Yes. Very, very true. And that's the way a lot of the racing series are. It's not about that one race that you want to get. It's about the consistency throughout the year and, constantly get points, constantly, just even if you're not doing very well, you're constantly getting those 5, 10, 15, 20 points a week or whatever the case may be. And you're steadily moving up in the rankings and, getting to a point to where eventually you're, possibly into the playoff. So I like it, and we'll see how it goes. And yes, there's been a lot of clean racing, a lot of respect between these guys. And you can tell just by watching the race that these guys do have a lot of respect for each other, because we could have easily have had 2, 3 more cautions by now because of just the way they're racing. But they're keeping it clean. There's a chance of some quarter panels getting knocked off, anything of the such. But no, it's been clean racing all the way through and through. Everybody's showing their respect. Even had some tempers flaring a while ago, but no, they didn't do anything about it. They just raced it out, and they're all leaving it out on the track, and they're running in the race. And it's been a beautiful race. And Brandon, I'm going to go back to this real quick, but Brandon Pierce is continuing his move up. As now, not only has he moved up, Gaskins has moved up behind Hoffman as well. So Bryce Hoffman in that 21, he ran a 33.4 on his last lap. Gaskins run a 33.5, but he's still hanging right there with him. And then Pierce, behind both of them, he's about 3 lengths behind, run a 33.1. So he's definitely gaining. Pierce is what I'm talking about here. He's definitely getting that gain on Hoffman for that 10th spot. So he's reeling him in. He's reeling him in like a bass. So we'll see how that plays out.
He is reeling him in indeed. His lap times are consistently quite a bit faster, and I think before this stage comes to an end, we're going to see a battle for P10, and that's a stage point. I mean, first through 10th get stage points, and obviously these drivers want to get every point they can, so it might just be 10th place, but to these drivers, that don't matter. It's still another point. They're going to give it their all to try and get that point. So definitely going to be keeping an eye on that 38 car to see what he can do, and like I said, I expect it to be a little bit of a battle as it progresses, but I'm looking at the front of the field right now, and Benefiel is slowly closing the gap. He's down to about 0.4 seconds if I'm moving my scoring pylon correct, and just ever so slowly closing in. Last time around for Adam Benefiel, 33.0, 33.1 for Hixenbaugh, so it was a 10th last time. This time, let's see what we got. Bryson Hixenbaugh, 33.1, Adam Benefiel, 33.1, so it evened out a bit there. That 83, I'm sure, is just lurking in the mirror of that 63. Bryson's got to be looking at that mirror and thinking, all right, here we go. I might want to might want to get on this loud pedal here because he is closing the gap.
Exactly. And, that goes with what you were saying with the points being points. It's just like these tenths of seconds that we're seeing and the differences in times. They all matter. And most of these, all of these races, none of them are sprints. They're all, basically mini marathons. You've got, hundreds of miles in every race that, you've got a lot of time to just build and build and build and get up to the front. You don't have to take it all in one lap or half a lap or try to take it all in a turn. You can hang back in second for a little while and keep first place in front of you for a little bit, or whatever position you're in, just kind of hang back, watch the guy in front of you, follow his line for a little while. And then once we start getting closer, start driving a little more, getting a little faster, start wearing the tires a little more, and start making those moves toward the end. But it's a long race. We've got a while to go. We're only on lap 141. So it's going to be a while, and I'm interested to see how everything's going to unfold as Hoffman is
car in the wall.
Right there. Who's
right in front of the leader? That was Patrick Much. Got into the outside wall really hard. Caused a bit of a checkup. Ryan Samuelson had to let off the throttle. Benefield now working his way around him. But that caused the 63 to check up quite a bit. We're going to take a look at the replay here. So coming out of turn 2, the leader is lurking about 4 cars behind Patrick Much. He just slides up on corner exit. And boom, right into that outside wall. You can see Samuelson check up quite a bit to avoid him. And that did allow Benefield to close the gap to Bryson Hixenbach. Hixenbach checked up a little bit. But then, right as they crossed the line, it seemed like the 63 put his foot on the loud pedal and started to extend that gap again. But this lap traffic definitely shaking things up. And it's nerve-wracking, I'm sure, for Bryson. But the 83 is saying, come on, give me more lap traffic.
But that's also unfortunate for Much right there, because he has battled his way back up to get back on the lead lap. So that was very unfortunate for him to hit the wall like that and then have to slow back down. So now he's got to regain all that momentum that he had fought so hard for. So it's unfortunate to see that. But now let's see how this top 2 spots are going to fold out between Benefield and Hickenbach. So let's see how that unfolds for him. As you got Cody Bird hanging up there. He's in 14th, but he's running right there with the leaders. So let's see how all 3 of these guys can run together. It looks like Bird's just going to hang back and let Hickenbach and Benefield go on out in front.
And that graphic on the screen a little bit ago showed that in 3 out of the last 5 laps, Adam Benefield was a little bit quicker than the leader. But I believe those were the laps where the leader was dealing with lap traffic. So now that they're back in clean air, we're going to have to see how that dynamic changes. Does the 63 start to pull away a little bit again? And it seems like he is slowly, 3 out of the last 5 laps now, it was Bryson that was faster. So it seems like lap traffic really did hold him up a bit, but now he's got that clean air and he's trying to pull away a little bit like he did earlier in the stage. There's only one lap car really in sight of these guys. Looks like Tim Rail in that 17 car. He's about 20 car lengths or so ahead, roughly a second and a half. So it's going to be a few laps before they get to him, and I don't think it's going to hold up the leader too much. You get one lap car, it's usually pretty easy to navigate. It only becomes worrisome if you see 3 or 4 lap cars all together.
Yes, definitely. Once you get around, there's other tracks where we see a lot more lap traffic. And here, honestly, I felt like there would be a lot more lap traffic than what there is, and there might be later on as we get into the longer stretch of stage 3. But like you said, there's only one up there, and one, yes, it's very easy and simple to get around, But once you get up into a group of 3, 4, 5 cars riding together, it's hard to navigate through them and hold the same line, as they all have to try to figure out which way you're going to go and then get out of the way. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm looking here. I'm on the nose of Benefield as I watch Hickenbach. He looks like he has got quite the loose. I don't know another way to say this. His rear end is quite loose. But as he goes through the turns, he does look a bit loose, so maybe that'll affect him a little bit. But Benefield ran a 33.3 on this last lap. But as I watch the race progress the last couple of laps, he is definitely getting closer to that P1 spot as we end up. We're coming up closer to lap. We're almost 149 here, so we're getting close to 150 as we get into lap traffic here with the one car that's out there.
The leader did get around Tim Rail, no problem. Now it's going to be up to Adam Benefield to also navigate around him. Looks like 17 is going to give Benefield the bottom. He should be able to power on by, no issues, and he's going to get clear before they exit 1 and 2. So No harm, no foul there. Tim Rail did a good job staying out of the way there. And this battle continues as the gap seems to... It's fluctuating. It's like the 83 closes in a little bit, then he loses what he gained. It's just back and forth. But regardless, their paces have been incredibly similar all night long. You got to think, we've had 150 laps, and only a few of them have been under caution, and yet still these guys separated by only a few tenths of a second on track. So that should show you exactly how close they are together in pace. But Jonathan Delaney right now, he is in P3, and he's going to have a few lap cars to deal with. That is Cody Bird ahead of him. He's going to have to try to navigate them as well. But he's actually closing in. I'm looking on the onboard, and he is not far, relatively speaking, from P1 and P2. Last time around for Jonathan Delaney, it was a 33.3. And for Adam Benefield, it was a 33.29. Leader, a 33.27. So just a hair off the leaders in pace, but not too far back on track. If he can find something in these closing laps, maybe trying to chase down Benefield.
Exactly, and yeah, they've been running very similar times all night, so it's been a good race. It's been fun, so I'm hoping that they continue to run like they're doing. But it does look like Benefield's slowly but surely gaining to try to get out there and get that lead spot. But right now, Hixenbaugh is kind of just riding along and keeping them off of him for now. So we'll see how it goes as we are getting about 30 laps left right here for the stage 2. I'm sorry.
And I'm going to make a prediction here, James. I think if the 83 can get the lead, if he can get out front, I think that might be all she wrote. Because the fact that Adam Benefield has the pace that he has in dirty air tells me that if he could get clean air, that car is going to be an absolute monster. Because it's not very often you see a car at a track like this with this aero package that we have that can get right up on somebody and run behind them and match their lap times. But it seems like the 83, especially earlier in stage 1 when we saw them bumper to bumper for so long, that car was pretty stable and pretty fast, even in the dirty air. And it was very similar to Auto Club. As Benefield actually scrapes the wall a little bit coming out of turn 2. But at Auto Club, Benefield was really fast, even in the dirty air. And then once he got that lead, that was it. He sailed off into the sunset and said goodbye. So maybe he's trying to do something similar here tonight. But that wall scrape cost him a lot of time. He lost a lot of ground to Bryson Hixenbaugh, which I'm sure Hixenbaugh finally now has a moment to breathe, so I'm sure he's glad about that. But let's see if Benefield can rally back up there.
Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate to see some of the racers mess up and lose some time. But for the competition, it's always a breath of fresh air because then now they can relax a little bit. The palms start getting sweaty and all that stuff. So definitely a breath of fresh air right there. But on the predictions, I think I'm going to go mine back a car or two. Just one. We're going to go John Delaney on mine. I've been watching him most of the race. He's been very smooth. His times have been consistent. His groups have been pretty much the same. But he's riding P3 right now in that number 9 car. So I'm thinking once we get through the next couple of, I think we've probably got 2, maybe 3 pit stops left. And, assuming everything stays clean, I think Delaney might be able to get a quicker pit stop and get some time off and get out in front. So that's who I'm going to go with.
I think that's a good pick. I mean, you look at the gap on track, and it looks like a lot between Delaney and Benefield. But with how much fresh tires matter, if Delaney could get a good undercut, if he could come in a couple laps early and have Benefield not immediately come down pit road and react to that strategy call, he could easily close that gap up. And I think the number 9, similar to Adam Benefield, if he could get in clean air, I think his car would be really good. His car seemed a little loose. He did lose the lead earlier in the race because he got loose. He got sideways. He slid through the corner. He was able to gather it up, but he fell all the way back to 6th. So the car, for him, seems to be very free in clean air and very fast. He just got to get up to the lead and utilize that.
Exactly, and that's another part I wanted to point out was he's been able to stay out a couple extra laps longer than everybody else on these green flag pit runs. So I feel like that right there is going to benefit him in the long run because I like to do that. I like to be the last one to go in when I do drive, and I'm a horrible driver, but that's beside the point. But I think that might help him out in the long run, and that's what we've got is long run races today, and I'm enjoying it. But my pick is Delaney. I'm not changing it. I'm sticking with him. Let's go, Delaney. I'm rooting for you, bud.
All right. like I said, I think that's a good pick. Delaney has been really fast at the start of the season. I mean, he came into the season with a little bit of something to prove. I think he was kind of seen as the road course specialist and a bit of a plate track specialist. But when it comes to 1.5s, he wasn't really a name that many people thought of. But with his really good performance at Auto Club, which is not a 1.5, it's technically I think more than that. But at Auto Club and a track like this at Homestead, he's been running really well. He's qualified 2 poles in a row now, like you said at the top of the broadcast. A lot of pace out of that number 9 car. He's just got to put the whole show together, get in the race, run consistent. And so far, he's done it. He's just got to get up front. But on your screen, you're looking at the battle. I believe that is the 74 car. Ryan Branham just trying to hold off RJ Root. He's been involved in quite a few battles we focused on tonight.
Yeah, those two have been at it all night, which is wonderful. But they've both moved up into 6th and 7th. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I wanted to piggyback on it. They've been in a great battle all night, but as they move up into the the field, they move together. So they're kind of hanging out. And I don't know if they're got together before the race and decided to just run together, or if it just so happens that they're running together. And they're doing a great job at it. They've been clean. They've been battling. They both look good running. So they're in the top 10 together in 6th and 7th. So we'll see how that one ends up as well.
This would be a great finish for RJ Root if he could get up in the top 10. He's one of those drivers that every time I see him race, he gets a little bit better. And I've been really enjoying watching what he's done in this league and how he's progressed. And now running P7, hunting down P6. Ryan Branham, like you said, they're kind of working together and they're slowly working their way up through the field. And looks like, was that the stage?
There it is. That's the stage, and that's the end of stage 2. And Hicksenbach got the win, right?
Yes, sir. Brian Hicksenbach.
Yeah, Hicksenbach stayed out front. Bryson Hicksenbach got both stages tonight. So does he continue and win stage 3 in the race, or what?
Well, gonna have to wait and see. I know Bryson's had some bad luck whenever he seems to sweep the stages. It seems like stage 3 doesn't quite go quite as well, but maybe he's looking to break that curse tonight as he has swept the stage. And the nice thing, James, about winning the first 2 stages is it doesn't really matter necessarily if you bring home the win, because you've already gotten a ton of bonus points. You've gotten those playoff points by winning those stages. And it kind of gives you a cushion where you're not quite as hyper focused on getting that win, because you could bring it home P3, P4, and still come out on top on points.
Exactly. And for those of you at home wondering, he does get 10 points for each stage win. So the race is not even remotely close to being over, and he's already got 20 points added to his total. So it looks good for him right now with those 2 stage wins. So I'm curious to see how he will finish out the race. Now, while we're at this time of the race, I would like to, if it's okay with you, I'd like to give a little bit of information about Homestead Miami for those fans that don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hear it.
All right. Well, for those of you that don't know, Homestead Miami is a 1.5-mile oval. The banking in the turns are 18 to 20 degrees. And I also did a little research before. The lap record was a qualifying lap for none other than Brad Keselowski in November of 14. He ran a 29.795 at 181 miles an hour.
Wow.
So that was just some little factoids, something I wanted to do as a thank you, I guess, for you guys allowing me to join you from SRM. Shout out to those guys. And it's been a pleasure working with you, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of this race goes, Andre. And it's awesome, man. I hope we get to work together again.
Right back at you, man. It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed doing this podcast with you, and I love information like that. I love little tidbits and factoids about the tracks, and I've always been a fan of little trivia, things like that. So awesome to hear. But we're going to interview our winner here before we wrap up the pacing. We're going to try to bring him in here, and I kind of let off the interview last time. So James, I'm going to have you lead this one off. We're going to bring in Bryson Hicksenbach, stage winner.
Hey, Bryson and James Siegel with us. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Hey, congrats again on the 2nd straight stage win. How's it feeling?
It's feeling pretty good. It's getting a little bit loose, but it's keeping its speed up.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how was it running? You did look a little loose there for a while, but obviously not too loose for you. You were able to control it, keep it through, and come out and get that stage win. And you also gained 20 points for you. So you're looking pretty good on that end as well.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I think 4 straight stages now after Daytona. Hopefully this week turns out better than last week, and I can hold on to it in this last stage.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to seeing how you finish the race. And you did mention to me earlier that you wanted to get out and kind of own the track a little bit. And you did there at the start of the beginning of stage 2. You were able to hold everything off even through the pit runs. How'd the pit stop go for you? You got 4 tires and fuel, correct?
Yep, 4 tires and fuel. I came down a little bit earlier than I wanted to after I saw Dustin Hall and Adam Benefield come down. I needed to make sure they stayed behind me for the dirty air effects later in the run, but held out there.
Awesome. Well, Andre, you got anything for him? I'm okay.
Not too much to add. Just congratulations on the stage 2 win, and hopefully you can carry this momentum going forward. Pace lights are off, so we're going to let you get set up to get racing again, and good luck going forward, man.
Congrats and good luck, Bryson.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Hope to speak to you later.
And that was stage 2 winner Bryson Hickson-Bond. I didn't notice it, but he's got ammunition on the side of that car, so we went with a bit of a GTA Vice City theme. I hadn't even noticed that, but that's pretty cool in that paint scheme. And one thing that did happen that we kind of missed there is I went back and looked at a replay of that pit sequence. Adam Benefield missed his pit stall. He had to throw it into reverse and back up into his stall there, and I think he lost a little bit of time there. He's going to be restarting, I believe, P3. So Delaney did get ahead of him, and he's got Cameron Stone on the outside in P4 of row 2.
I'm sorry, who'd you say got in front of him?
Benefield, Delaney.
I'm just picking. Yeah, I'm just messing with you, buddy. I was like, hey.
You made a good pick. He's one of those drivers, man. He can pick up a lot of time real quick. So if he's got a shot at it, now's going to be the time. He's going to have to try to combat that Bryson Hickson-Bond restart as the 63 gets on that loud pedal. There he goes. He's got about a 2-car length gap. Now, who does Delaney block? Because it looks like 3rd and 4th are going to be too wide. Benefield on the bottom, Cameron Stone on the top. Looks like Delaney is going to block both of them right in the middle between them. Now sliding down towards the bottom lane with the 83. He's going to stick right with the 63 Bryson Hickson-Bond. And meanwhile, behind them, this battle between the 83 and the 57, Benefield and Cameron Stone, this battle's not gonna end quite yet. These guys are going to duke it out. And whoa, Cameron Stone, big slide.
He was riding good there for a minute, but he just got loose coming out of turn 4 right there, yeah. And he lost it, but he was able to keep control and no caution. So we are still at green flag as we have Hickson-Bond, Benefield, and Delaney and Benefield. Hickson-Bond, Delaney, and Benefield 1, 2, and 3 right here as we open up stage 3. And Delaney is reeling himself in like he's got a shark on the line. He's reeling it in. He's trying to get Hickson-Bond on the hook, trying to bring him in, trying to get around him as he's running P2. He won a 31.2 right there on that lap. So let's see how it runs out. Hickson-Bond running 31.3. So Delaney's definitely running faster right now. Let's see how it turns out as we just hit 168.
Time car got a little bit loose there, but he is absolutely flying right now. That car is on rails, and behind them, the battle for 4th is, or at least it was, pretty hot there for a moment. The 24 was side by side for a good lap and a half with Brian Branham in that 74. And Cameron Stone, it seems like once he did that initial slide, he heated those tires up, and he hasn't quite recovered from that. Every time he goes through the corner, that car is getting sideways in contact. Cameron Stone to the bumper of Brian Branham. Brian Branham with a good save there. He got a little bit sideways, was able to recover it, but that actually ended up costing Cameron Stone more than anybody. Unfortunately, now that 74 with a little bit of rear end damage that he's going to have to deal with throughout the rest of the race.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's one thing that could cost you some valuable milliseconds, even in a race like this. When you get damaged, it affects how the car runs. So let's see how Branham can. Let's see how he can overcome it, and hopefully he can continue to move up, because now he's up in P5 as he's been around in the top 10 pretty much the whole race, and now he's up there in P5. But he does have Cameron Stone in his rear view mirror, and about probably 3 or 4 or 5 lengths out in front of him is Kevin Steele, who's up in 4th now. So we've got ourselves a nice race as we get ready to start stage 3 into these last.
It's definitely been a good run for Branham. You can hear
lost my math right there.
Absolutely. Brian Branham coming across the driver's chat. He asked Cam if he had any rear end damage. I don't know if Cam answered him, but I believe the answer is yes, as we had kind of observed there on the broadcast. Meanwhile, up front, a little bit of a shift in position. The 83 has gotten around John Delaney. He's up into P2, and he is not far from the leader, Bryson Nixonbaugh.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. Benefield's getting all up in Hicksonbaugh's rear bumper there. Looks like he might get ready to go low and make a move here as they come down the back straightaway. So let's see if he makes a move and try to get out in front. There he goes. There it is. There's the pass. Can he hold it coming out of turn 4? And he does. He gets all the way out. Benefield takes the lead on lap 172. They did make a little contact. I don't think it was enough to really bother anybody. But they're running neck and neck, bumper to bumper. Well, not bumper to bumper, but door to door, fender to fender right here as they come out of 2 down the back straightaway. Who's going to get the most momentum? It looks like Hicks.
Huge run.
Yeah, he did. He got a huge run off of that, and he's going to end up taking the lead back from Benefield. But Benefield's going to bring it right back to him, and there you go. As they go into 3 and 4, Benefield looks like he might pull away a little bit right here. Not much, but he definitely pulled away a little bit. And if you look back, Benefield just run the exact same line that Hicksonbaugh ran the lap before. So he learned his lesson.
Seeming to adapt to the line, and he used it to his advantage for sure. And he drove it out of that corner super deep. I mean, when he got on the throttle as early as he did, I was riding on board from my perspective, and I could hear that engine rev up, and I thought, man, he got on that way too soon. Somehow it stuck. He didn't get into the outside wall. He didn't even really push up that far. So that 83 absolutely dialed in right now.
Yeah, he come down that back straightaway like he was shot out of a cannon. So he definitely, I could tell he got into it a little early. You probably saw it before I did, but he definitely come in a little early. But it worked out to his benefit. Now he's pulled out in front in his last lap on 31.9. So Benefield definitely has pulled out in front. He's got a couple links right here now on Hicksonbaugh as Delaney is not going away without a fight as he's pulling up into Hicksonbaugh. So Hicksonbaugh's got some competition now up here in the front between Delaney and Benefield. As Benefield's pulling away a little more, they go crossing the line for lap 176. So we're going to keep it going. Delaney is giving Hicksonbaugh a run for his money right here. I want to see how this one's going to turn out. So I'm going to hang out with these guys for a little while.
I agree. It's going to be quite the battle. And I said earlier, if the 83 gets out into clean air, it's going to be a scary sight for the rest of the pack because he might just drive away with it. And it seems like that's what he's trying to do. He has built up a massive gap to Bryson Nixonbaugh within just a few laps. That car is taken off like a rocket ship. And now more bad news for the 63 Bryson Nixonbaugh. He is under fire from Jonathan Delaney. Right on his bumper as they go into the corner. You can see that 9 car just drove it in so deep. He closed that gap up a ton. And what's more is coming out of the corner, you'd think he'd lose a little bit of that speed coming out. But no, he maintained his speed, got on the throttle just right. Right when that weight shifted and he could get on the throttle, he did. He kept his momentum. Now even closer, a mere foot or so behind the 63. And again, he's going to keep that momentum. I think they're going to get side by side before too long.
Yes, exactly. And he was able to come out, keep the speed, keep it under control, and there he goes with the pass. So Delaney's going to move up to second now as they come out of, I believe that's turn 4. No, that's 2 coming out down the back straightaway. But Hicksonbaugh's not going away without a fight, and they are side by side, door to door. And Delaney stays low as Hicksonbaugh goes up into about the 3rd groove there, which we haven't seen him run much of. He's been hanging out around the upper 2nd groove, lower 3rd, but he went kind of high right there and gave way to Delaney, who has now moved up to 2nd. So now it's up to Delaney to reel in. I forgot who's up in front. Benefield. There we go. I'm sorry. You guys are new, man. I'm trying to learn everybody's name on the fly here, so it's working out a little bit, I guess.
I'd say you're doing a pretty good job for not knowing these names and the cars, and I've jumped into a league without knowing hardly anything about them and tried to broadcast. It's not a fun task, let me tell you. It is not an easy thing to do, and you've been doing a phenomenal job of it. But that 9 car, man, he is absolutely bad fast. Even when he was racing side by side with the 63, he managed to run lap times on par with the leader Adam Benefield. So as this run progresses, I'm going to look for that number 9 to maybe close the gap here a little bit, gain some ground if he can. But You know, this is the first time that Bryson's really had to deal with dirty air, and not only is that going to make his car handle a lot worse, but it's a learning curve. You know, when you've been running for over 140 laps or so out front in clean air, you don't necessarily know exactly how your car is going to feel when you're towards the back or when you're behind another car. So definitely a learning curve for him. He's going to have to get that car figured out, and just something that these guys got to deal with. But tell you what, dirty air not an issue for Adam Benefield with a huge lead as they go into turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, he's definitely got a massive lead as Delaney is slowly but surely pulling away from Hitzenbach. So, as you were mentioning, you know, he's now back there in that dirty air. So we'll see if he is able to adapt and overcome the dirty air and get himself back up there in the front. You know, by front, I mean the lead. So we'll see how it works out for him. And hopefully he can get back up there and stay in competition. But for now, it's Benefield and Delaney, you know, pulling away 1 and 2. Still, he's right there in fourth. You know, this man has not went away at all today. He's been running top 10 all day, and he's running consistent times. So I like the way he's been driving as well. Cameron Stone's had a little bit of a problem earlier, but he's right there in 5th place. And then right behind him, we got Brian Branham in the 6th machine. And on his bumper, Mason Lowry, he's been up there all day. He's been top 15 all day. So I'm interested to see what kind of move he makes to try to get around Branham, you know, here in the next couple of laps, because they are kind of close together. Branham running 33.1. Oh, they ran way closer than I thought. Branham running 33.124. Lowry running 33.183. So their last laps were just 1/1000th of a second apart from each other, if I'm saying that correct. I haven't done decimals in a while.
I hate decimals.
Me and you both.
They are definitely running really close in pace, and I'm keeping an eye right now on the battle between Cameron Stone and Kevin Steele. Kevin Consistency Steele, Apex teammates, kind of running with one another, utilizing the draft. And the 57 car seems to be getting a little bit slideways every time he goes in the corner. Extremely loose going into the corner, and he's doing that every time. It's not like a rare thing. Oh, he's loose coming out of the corner. And I was talking with Cameron Stone on Discord before we recorded a podcast the other day, and he was talking about making the setup for this track. And he said, you know, I tried a bunch of different Homestead setups. You know, over at Team Apex, we have a Homestead setup. I didn't like it. You know, he just wasn't a fan of it. Then he said, but then I thought, you know what? Homestead was modeled after Old Atlanta before they repaved it. So he went ahead and he dug up a setup made for Old Atlanta. And he started running that, and he said it felt a lot better. Unfortunately, right now, that car not looking too good as he is sliding through every single corner.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate for him. And, you know, as you see right there in the graphic, he is the 2020 champion. So congrats to you on that, Mr. Stone, and hopefully, you know, we can get back in that victory lane again this year for the championship, and hopefully this race can get a little better for you. So we'll see how it ends up turning out for him. He is running top 5 right now, actually P5. So he's still up there, so he still has a chance. You know, for me, I feel like anybody in the top 10 still has a chance because we do have a ways to go. But I wanted to focus real quick just for a second back here on the 77 and the 4. And that's the 77's Dalton Mobley, and then I lost my track. Chad Edwards is Chad Edwards in the 4. They've been battling the last couple laps here. Mobley ran a 33.5, Edwards ran a 33.3, so that's what helped out. But they have been right there with each other the last few laps, bumper to bumper, and then they'll get side by side for a little while, and then bumper to bumper. So they're still kind of filling each other out back there, trying to figure out which one's going to take out front. But it looks like now that I've brought some attention to it, Edwards made the pass to get into the top 10, and now he's, you know, moved up a little bit. He's about 2 lengths ahead. I wanted to just focus in on that for a minute. That's a good battle.
He is pulling away a little bit, not too quick. Dalton Mobley is kind of in tow. He's trying to utilize that draft coming down the backstretch, and the 4 car really sent it down deep. He kind of drove it down the bank and going in. Now he's going to slide back up, and it looked like an aggressive line. It almost looked like it shouldn't be a fast line, but it definitely was as he pulled away from the 77 that corner and gained quite a bit on the lap down car, Dustin Hall. Really unfortunate how Dustin's race has gone with that incident earlier, putting in the lap down. He's had a fast car all night long. He's definitely had top 10 pace for sure, but just getting trapped a lap down when there's not that many yellow flags, not much you can do. All you can do is go out there and run your race and hope that, luck falls in your favor. Just so far, it hasn't for that number 1 car.
No, it has not. It's been kind of rough. But I was looking here. I wanted to show that on Benefield, Delaney, and Hicksonball, they're all separated by about 4 seconds. And then the closest car is Kevin Steele behind them with 3 seconds behind Hicksonball. So the top 3 are running fairly close with, about 3.5 seconds separating them. And then you've got about 1.5 seconds separating Steele, Stone, and Branham right there, 5th, 6th, and 7th. I'm sorry, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Correction. Let me correct myself on that. So you got guys running together, but then you've got some that are just separated out a little bit. So still good, clean racing. We've got a few more laps to go, 70 plus, something like that. So we'll see how it all turns out. But we've got a fairly good top 10 going on. Everybody's running good. Everybody's running safe. But you got Dustin Hall, who's running currently P15, and he's in between P9, Brandon Pierce, and then P10 of Chad Edwards in the 4 car. So they're all running right there together. Even though there's a lap car in between them, they're all still running. They're running decent, running good lap times.
Absolutely. I'm looking at the battle right now between Mason Lowry and Brian Branham. Seems like Mason Lowry makes a charge at it. He closes the gap a little bit on Branham as Cameron Stone gets way loose in front of the both of them. Now Branham's going to go side by side as Cameron is off pace. So I don't know if Stone is going to make his way down pit road. Maybe he got loose there and just decided, screw it, I'm going to come down pit road.
Yep, that's exactly what it looks like.
Yep, there he comes. He's going to be the first taker, which I think that might be his only play. When the car is handling as rough as it is, maybe make some tire pressure adjustments, try to get out there on fresher tires and make up the deficit.
Yeah, something's got to give because he started out this stage loose. He was fast, but he was super loose, and he was able to hold on to it. So definitely much respect and credit for that, and he was also able to hold it right there as well. So there's definitely some adjustments to be made. So I guess he's finally got to that point where he's had enough. He wants to go in and hit the pits and get some adjustments made.
Absolutely, and I got to wonder if he's going to make any tire pressure adjustments. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what kind of adjustments or what kind of PSI you'd want to try and tame that car and keep it from getting sideways like it was. But it seems like that's really their only option. I mean, he could adjust tape going into the pits. Obviously, you want to be careful with tape at a track like this because it is so hot. You could easily overheat if you put too much tape on that thing. I mean, we've seen championship races in real life be decided by too much tape. So
yes,
you'd have to be careful with that. But this battle, oh, good.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's what I like about the iRacing itself is how realistic it is as far as the entire aspect of racing. Anywhere from dirt tracks with big blocks all the way up to the NASCAR Cup Series, everything is just so realistic and everything runs very similar. Like this is as close as you can get without actually going to a track and sitting in a race car and getting on the track and running. So this right here is it's an awesome experience for everybody, and I'm just enjoying the daggone broadcast, man. And you've been a great host for me today, Andre.
Right back at you. This has been an absolute blast, and it's been great working together. It's just you mentioned how realistic it is. I mean, having broadcasts for these races and for the drivers, there's a lot of elements of realism that I've mentioned a few times on the broadcast that maybe some viewers at home don't really know. But like a lot of these drivers have actual human spotters working for them, telling them where the cars are, just like they would in real life. They'd have spotters up in the grandstands. Well, these guys have spotters connected to the session, looking at their cars, saying, hey, you got a car high, you got a car low. A lot of these guys working for teams, they got crew chiefs that are going to give them the setups, tell them what to do under pit road, what kind of strategy they're going to pull. It really is a team effort, just like it would be in real life for a lot of these guys. Now, of course, you do have a few lone wolves out here that kind of do everything themselves. They're a one-man band. They crew chief themselves. They spot for themselves. They make their own setups. They do all of that. But for most of these guys, it's a team effort, and that's just something that's really cool to see because it does really make it feel just that little bit more realistic.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. And it's awesome to see the guys, especially for me, the guys that come out here as the quote-unquote lone wolf and do this all themselves, whether they're running in the back of the pack or they're leading the race. Either way, you know, it's a great job. Just him being able to do everything, or her, you know, you can't count women out either. I've seen women in these races. You know, the driver get out there and do everything himself and still be able to run the complete lap, run it safely, keep everybody else safe. And for me, that's a big thing is safety. And granted, you wreck these cars, physically you can't get hurt, but emotionally, yes, it can hurt. So, so everybody gets out, stay safe, and we run safely. And mad props to everybody as the 57 goes low of Cameron Stone as he's going to pass Brian Branham as I am talking about this. That's why I've sidetracked right there, but Stone made a pass, and he's now out in front of Branham. So he takes over, I believe, the 5th place position. As Branham looks like he slowed down a bit.
Cameron Stone is still a lap down after pitting.
Correct.
So
yes, thanks for correcting me on that. You're absolutely right. He did go down pit road. So
I was a little tripped
fault.
up too. I kind of forgot he pitted as well until I looked at the scoring pile on there. But he is trying to unlap himself. He's got a ways to go. As Cameron Stone is currently just now coming out of turn 2, and your leader is coming out of turn 4. So quite a ways to go before he can unlap himself. But if he can, who knows? And with all of these leaders staying out a little bit longer, maybe that undercut could help him in the short term here.
Well, one of my favorite things to do, I don't need to do anything, but what I do enjoy is listening to these motors rev as they go around the track. You want to hit some ride-alongs, maybe listen to some engines?
Absolutely. We're going to throw it to a Shano FX overdrive. We're going to crank it up. We're back for some action at Homestead. Looks like pit road's getting pretty busy, James.
Yes, exactly. As Adam Benefield has decided to drop down and go ahead and start the pit stops here as we get ready to go into lap 210. Oh, I'm sorry, 209. We just got into 209. Cody Bird has also joined in, but he's already on his way out. Mason Lowry's in. DeMarcus Hickenbottom is still there. Ryan McDaniel's come in. He's running in P17 right now. Delaney is out running in first now. Ryan McDaniel's come in. He's running P18 at the moment. Kevin Still stays out. Branham stays
Damaris
out.
Might have had, sorry to cut you off. I think Damaris might have had some damage to repair. He did sit in his stall a little bit longer. You pointed it out. He was sitting there. That would not be the first time he had a little bit of right side damage to fix up, but hopefully he can get back out there.
Yeah, let's hope he can. Gaskins is still out. Stone's still out. Bird's still out. Samuelson's still out. And there's Hickenbottom.
Big slide. The number 4, Chad Edwards, he missed his stall by a long shot. He slid right on through into the 16 stall. Had to throw it in reverse there.
Well, I guess he's trying to get some of the 16 tires so that way he can keep us on.
I use his, then I don't got to use my own. That's what he's thinking.
There you go. Exactly. Let me borrow some of them tires, man. I'll get back to you.
Yeah. I'll pay you back, I promise.
Right. He's already off. And Rail's still out. Gaskins already mentioned him. And Hickenbottom is all the way back into 10th now. So he's still in the top 10, but he just won a 31.4. So that tells you the difference in the tires. You're running from, you got the lower 33s with the old tires, and then it comes down, once they get these fresh tires, they end up running, upper 31. So that shows you it's about a 2-second difference between old tires and new tires.
For sure. And I think Cameron Stone at this point, he is almost, I called it an undercut when he came in when he did, but I feel like as long as everybody else stayed out, it's almost like he's on a completely different strategy. Because I think right now it's a little bit too early to pit for Cameron Stone again. But at the same time, he is on really, really old tires. So he's kind of caught somewhere in purgatory there where it's like, you don't want to come down, but also your car is not going to be quite on top of the world. So maybe that strategy of coming in when he did, not playing out like he had hoped. But, I mean, I'm in the booth, he's on the track. Maybe he knows something that I don't. So we're going to see how that works out. As the 83 is going to work his way around Cameron Stone as we talk about him. And that, I believe, is for position, actually. So definitely not working out for Cameron Stone if Adam Benefield and Bryson Hickenbottom pretty much unlapping themselves and passing him for position that early on after they came out of the pits.
Yeah, exactly. And, it might be that the early pit he took, is costing him now. But then again, like you said, he's down there on the track and we're up here. So maybe he's got a plan or something that we don't know about. But Delaney's still out there riding in first. So he's stretching out these tires and fuels that he's been running on. Meanwhile, in 5th, RJ Root is now leaving pit road. Dustin Hall is leaving pit road. Pierce is in 3rd now. He stayed out for a little bit longer, so we'll have another round of pit stops here, probably in another lap or two. Hall's leaving out. Edwards running P11. He's running a 32.3. I believe he took a pit stop as well.
Yeah, he was he was the one that slid through his stall there, and he's pretty much out and away. Right. And we're going to see how he can recover from that. Earlier, when I said that Hickenbottom and Benefield worked their way around Cameron Stone, notice I said Hickenbottom first. Benefield lost the lead on that pit sequence, so he actually fell back a ways.
You're absolutely right. You're right on point with that. Hickenbottom is now running 5th, and with Benefield right behind him in 6th. So yes, they did a little flippy floppy right there. So we'll see how that turns out. See if they can battle it back out and swap spots again. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
And that is effectively the battle for the lead, as Benefield and Hickenbottom are pretty much the front of the cars that have already pitted. Everybody ahead of them, you can see Delaney leading, Brandon Pierce, Dalton Mobley. Those 3 cars have pit still. So once they make their way down pit road, Hickenbottom is going to re-inherit the lead. And then this battle between the 63 and the 83 will continue. It's a battle that we've seen pretty much all race long, and definitely not going to end anytime soon, because last time around for Benefield it was a 31.9, Ritzenbach 32.0, so Benefield lapped about a tenth of a second faster each time around, and lap traffic ahead to complicate matters.
And those guys are running 2 seconds faster than your leader Delaney, who run a 33.5 on his last lap. So there's a huge difference there too. So I'm wondering when Delaney's going to pit. Looks like it might be. Nope, he's going to go ahead and make another round. Nope, there he goes. He's going to the pits now. There he goes.
On board with Benefield, he's going to get a little loose. He got on the throttle really early to try and power out of the corner and get to the quarter panel of that 63. Unfortunately, he got on the throttle a little too soon, I think, because there's contact. The 63 hard into the back, or the 83, I'm sorry, hard into the back of the 63. So now a little bit of damage to the rear end of that 63 machine. I'm not sure Bryson's going to take that one sitting down.
I hate to laugh, but I mean, he kind of has to take it sitting down. He's driving.
That is true. That is very true. The audience can't hear it, but our producer is booing that joke. I enjoyed it for what it's worth. The 63 sending it in really deep. Not quite going to get to him. I think if he could, he would probably return the love tap, but...
he's just booing it because he didn't come up with it first.
Yeah, probably. I would agree with that. But man, this 83, he is on rails, and he's pulling away from the 63. So I said it early on in the race. I said, Benefield is not the kind of driver to show his hand early in the race. And I don't think he did. He was riding around in second for the majority of the race. As soon as stage 3 kicked in, it seems like he just got on that loud pedal, and he has been pacing himself incredibly well throughout stage 3, and right now continuing to extend the gap over second place Bryson Nixonbach.
And there goes our leader, Brandon Pierce, down to pit road as you talk about. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought of who you're talking about. It wasn't Higginbaugh, it was Benefield. There we go. Now he's riding in first, but he's got, who's that? The 13 car of Cody Bird right there in his rear bumper. So Cody Bird won a 32.7, his Benefield won a 32.3. So Benefield is just about a half second faster, and he comes slingshotting out of turn 4 right there down the front straightaway. So Benefield's back out in that clean air, and like you said earlier, once he gets out there, it's hard to pass him. So he's out there, he's got the clean air, he's taking advantage of it as we creep up on about 55 laps left. So we'll see how Benefield can take these last 55 laps and see if he can hold on to this lead and, take that checker flag.
And I think that rear end damage is really affecting Bryson Nixonbaugh in that 63 car. His lap times have pretty much plummeted, or I guess increased. If they were plummeting, that'd be a good thing for him, I suppose. But
yes.
He was running 32.3s right along with the leader Benefield. Then as soon as he got that rear end damage, he's been running 32.7, 32.8, right around there. So with that rear spoiler being jacked up in the air like that, definitely can't be helping that car's performance. And it does look really tight. I mean, he's coming through the corner. You can see on exit that front end is just trying to slide up the track, and it's fighting him at every turn. So unfortunate for him, but fortunate for Adam Benefield as he is just still clocking off really fast laps for how worn his tires are getting at this point. We're about 10 laps, 15 laps or so since they've pitted. Maybe a little bit more than that. I'm not good at remembering things, but his tires are getting a little worn, and he's still running 32.6, which is not bad at all for this stage in the run.
No, not at all, not at all. And then you talk about Higginbaugh with that damage, and it's slowing him down. It's got him slowed down enough to where Bryce Hoffman, who's running at P15 right now, is actually right on his rear bumper as well. And Hoffman won a 32.7 last lap, where Higginbaugh run a 33.009, close enough to call it a 33 flat. So the damage is definitely causing him to slow down a little bit. It's causing some major problems for him. But there's about 4 or 5 cars in between him and Kevin Steele. So he's got plenty of time. I don't think it's too much of a worry at the moment, but Kevin Steele's also running about 3 to 4 tenths faster. So over the next few laps, you'll see Steele eventually catch up to Higginbaugh and maybe give him a run for that second place spot.
Absolutely. Kevin Steele is no stranger to late race comebacks. It seems like that's when he really starts to get in the groove and find that speed, because he always seems to be there at the end. And right now, running P3 after running pretty much in and around the top 5 consistently all night, you definitely can't complain about that. And like you said, he's running about 0.3 faster per lap than Bryson. And if he can get up into P2, and then let's say theoretically a yellow flag was to come out, something happens, that's a front row starting position. I mean, a late race comeback is not out of the question. I call it a comeback, but he's been up front all night long. But a late race rally, I should say, for Kevin Steele, not out of the question.
Oh yes, definitely. And for him, like you said, he's been running up there in the front of the pack pretty much the whole race. So it would not surprise me one single bit if he was to able to fight his way up and get up there to the top, front of the pack or even top 2. So now he's up there P3. So he's scratching and clawing and fighting his way. He's been doing it all race. Let's see if he can continue to move on and keep fighting and maybe end up finishing in that front spot. But he got Delaney right there behind him, so we'll see how that turns out for both of those guys. We'll keep an eye out for them anyway. And Delaney Delaney just came up into the rearview mirror very quickly as they come out of turn 4. And Delaney goes low.
He's on a lot of pressure tires. You got to remember, he was one of the last cars to come down pit road, so he lost a lot of time coming down pit road so late, and now he's making that all back up with about 10 lap pressure tires.
Exactly, and Steele could be saving fuel as well. Like just running a comfortable lap for himself, trying to stretch that fuel out 5-10 more laps. So we'll see how he ends up doing. But Delaney did come flying around him pretty fast. You're absolutely right. He did take about 10 more laps than everybody else on his tires, and his tires are a lot fresher. And speaking of guys that have been hanging out all day in the top 10, top 15, you got Mason Lowry running P5 right now. He's been hanging out in the top 10, 12 all day long, and he's moved himself up into a top 5 position now.
And right now, he's in a pretty comfortable position. He's not really being challenged from behind, and there's not really anybody in front of him. This is one of the first times all race long that I think he's had a minute to breathe. He's been involved in a lot of battles. It seems like every time we go back through the field and we start looking for battles, he was in just about every single one of them. So finally a moment to breathe, and a pretty solid P5 right now.
Yes, that's exactly right. And behind him, excuse me, is RJ Root, who's kind of been there with Lowry most of the day. They've been battling it out, but Root just passed Stone to get up into the P6 spot. So he's up there moving along, and he seems to be gaining on him. His last lap was a 33.1, and Mason Lowry was a 33.2. So they're right there running about the same time frames, but we'll keep an eye on them and see what happens. And then also Brian Branham, who's been up there all day. He's running a P8 right now as he gets ready to, he's going around Stone right now. Something's got to be going on with Stone. He's been passed. 4 or 5 cars have passed him the last couple laps. He's now back to 7th. And his last lap was a 34.1. Yes. He has old tires.
And he's going to make his way down pit road right now. I believe this is going to mean he's good to the end. He should definitely be good to the end. We're on lap 231 out of 267. He's going to be pretty much in the clear. But with Delaney saving fuel, I got to wonder what the exact situation is for a few of these guys. Are a lot of them close on fuel like Delaney, or what is going on with these guys? I think we're going to see maybe a bit of a shakeup.
I think honestly, man, I feel like it's going to be you put them all in a Yahtzee cup, shake it up a couple of times, and just throw it and see who comes out first.
For sure, and you got to think Delaney saving fuel when he was one of the last ones to make his way down pit road. That could spell disaster for a few of these guys. I mean, because they came into pit road a lot sooner than him. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. But maybe that, staying out as long as he did, maybe that's going to help Jonathan Delaney, and that could be the absolute power play if it works out in his favor.
Yes, exactly. And with that, best case scenario for him, we race clean the rest, knock on wood, we race clean the rest of the race, no cautions. Everybody's got to take that last minute caution. But as he stayed out, 10 laps later than everybody else, that could benefit him. Worst case scenario, we get a few cautions and then everybody pits a couple laps. Caution again, he's got to go back in, and then he's in the back of the field. So we'll see which one works out for him.
Could go either way. We're just going to have to wait and see how that plays out. But we are getting to the end of this race. And then, like I said, lap 235 out of 267. roughly 33 laps to go, 32 and a half now. The leaders made their way down the backstretch, and not too much left in this race. I think it's definitely go time for a lot of these guys, but it's hard to go when you know you got to save fuel and you got to be a little bit conservative with your equipment for sure. So it's kind of a struggle for these guys. How much do they push it? How much do they save? But for Adam Benefiel, I'm not sure how much he's saving because he is still running pretty good lap times for as old as those tires are. It was a 33-1 last time around for him, and it was a 33-1 for Bryson Hixenbaugh. So definitely, I mean, these guys don't seem to, if they're saving, they're not saving noticeably. I mean, their lap times are pretty much on par with what we've seen all night.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's the biggest question right now. How much tire wear are they using? How much are they saving? Or can they make it through these last 30-plus laps? I guess we'll have to see.
Absolutely. I'm looking right now at the number 21, Bryce Hoffman. He's running P15. Not sure what happened to him. He was running a little bit further up the grid earlier in the night and then seemed to have gone a couple laps down now. He's actually 2 laps down to Bryce Hoffman. Or, I'm sorry, to Bryson Hixenbaugh. He's not 2 laps down to himself. Very similar names. I got a little tongue twisted there. But yeah, 2 laps down.
Hoffman was up around P9 earlier, wasn't he?
Yeah, you talked about him a little bit. He was up in the top 10, and I was like, man, he got up there pretty quick. And now I'm not sure exactly what happened. He must have had to make an unscheduled pit stop, I would assume.
Yeah, it's the only thing I could think of is an unscheduled green flag pit stop, and that put him down a couple of laps. But if he's the guy that's the lead lap down, maybe he'll get a free pass or lucky dog or something. But so far, we've, knock on wood, we've had no cautions. It's been a really clean race. Everybody's doing their thing, and everybody's running around. And right now, you got Jonathan Delaney right behind Matthew Gaskins. Gaskins running at P19, and Delaney goes around him like he's sitting still. So Delaney tires. Yes, Delaney with that's exactly what I was about to say. Delaney with those fresher tires is moving around the track. He's running 33.03, but he's still moving around, making people left and right as he gets ready to. Cody Bird now, almost contact, but Delaney takes low.
Yeah,
Bird stays up high. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying that Cody Bird stayed up high and gave him a clean pass, and then gets into the wall in 1 and 2. But he manages to control it and keep it down. He brings it back down at about the 3rd groove. So nice job right there by Cody Bird. It's unfortunate he got into the wall, but he was able to keep control of it as he runs P12.
It was a good save. When the number 9 got up behind Cody Bird, I don't think he expected the closing rate to be quite that fast. He closed that gap a little quicker than I think he was expecting, which is why that near contact occurred. Because coming out of the corner, you don't really necessarily expect to gain that much. Usually you expect to gain going in or in the center of the corner. But that number 9 car, he's just got a lot of speed coming out, whereas Cody Bird seems to be a little bit stronger going in. So when you got that difference in pace, you're gonna meet up with 2 cars real quick. So they gotta definitely be on the ball with the reaction times. Like I said, the closing rates, you have different wear on different cars who've been out for different lengths of time. It's always a bit of a struggle, but Delaney was able to avoid contact, got around Cody Bird, and he's continuing to try to close the gap with those slightly fresher tires. But it's just a huge gap to overcome. I mean, Delaney right now, he's coming out of turn 2, and your leader, he's working his way through 3 and 4, so a little bit over an entire straightaway between them, and under 30 laps left in the race.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got a nice battle back here for 5th spot between RJ Root in the 8 car and Mason Lowry in the 56. And then also behind them, a lap car, Ryan Samuelson in the 16. Now, when I checked in on this, they were side by side. The 56 has slowed down a good bit right here. He's actually let the 16 come back out in front of him. But Lowry was side by side with Root. I mean, they were door to door getting ready to come, and it just slacked off. So Roots continued to hold on to that 5th spot, but it looked like there was going to be a lot more action. But as soon as I brought it to attention, Lowry was like, "No, I'm good, man. I'm going to go and lay back here for a minute." So they slacked off, but it was looking good there for a minute. I just want to bring some attention to those guys because they were battling there for a second. But they straightened it out. We got Lowry behind the 16 of Samuelson. So they're running kind of normal. In fact, Lowry slowed down a good bit more. I don't know if maybe something's got wrong with him or if he's conserving fuel or what's going on with him, but he definitely slowed down a significant amount. So we'll see how that goes. And as I mentioned this, Branham in the 74 in 7th spot, he's moved up, and now he's got his face all in Lowry's rearview mirrors. They're going to ride bumper to bumper down the back straightaway. So let's see if Lowry can hold him off or if he's going to let Branham just go ahead and go around him. So we'll see how this plays out right here.
From one battle to another, the 56 I mentioned a little bit ago, Mason Lowry finally had a moment to breathe. Well, that moment is gone. He's been involved in a few more battles over these last few laps. And you said maybe Mason is saving fuel, and I think you're right, because it doesn't seem like that car is ill-handling. I'm watching it go through the corner, and nothing mechanical on that car looks off. It doesn't look like it's bouncing through the corner, or like the suspension's unstable, or the front's trying to wash out. It seems like he's just taking it easy right now. So maybe a little bit of conservation. We heard that, at least one other guy is saving fuel. So, I mean, it's not out of the question that maybe that's what Mason's doing as well. But I want to give a shout out to RJ Root. You talked about him a minute ago, and it's just been a phenomenal run. We don't really keep track of how many passes a car has made. But if we did, I'm sure RJ Root would be towards the top of that list, because every time we look at him, James, he's a little bit further up that scoring pylon.
Yes, he definitely does that. You're absolutely right. He would probably be a top of the list, and it's too bad that these guys don't get points for passes, because he would definitely have himself a few points tonight. And as we say that, he gets into the wall coming out of turn 4, going down the front straightaway, and so that's going to cost him a little bit of speed. So, but he still crossed at a 33.6. But he's definitely been doing good tonight. So shout out, like you said, to RJ Root, who's definitely not going away without a fight.
Absolutely. And to those who say the commentator's curse isn't real, case in point. we talk about him, and then he's in the wall a little bit. So.
Oh man, that's been all night, brother. It's been all night. As soon as we bring something up or bring attention to a battle, it either separates or something happens or somebody runs into a wall or something happens, and it's like I'm almost afraid to talk about what's going on because I don't want to mess these guys up.
And the crazy part is that's our job. We got to talk about what's going on.
That was my follow-up point right there. Exactly. It's like, holy crap, we've got to talk about it. Look at Benefield going around Chad Edwards like Chad is just sitting at a red light, and Benefield said, I ain't stopping at this red light. I'm going to keep going. So Benefield went around him, and there we go. We've got Benefield who just lapped the P9 spot. So I guess top 8 is on the lead lap.
Yep, Chad Edwards being put a lap down means that the last car on the lead lap right now is Brandon Pierce, the DGR driver in that number 38. He is running 8th position. Last time around, let's see if I can find his lap time. Last time around for Brandon Pierce, it was a 33.8 compared to the leader in that 83 car. He ran in 33.4, so about 4/10 off. He's a ways away from going a lap down. No immediate danger there, but with how many cars have gone a lap down, you got to think, even if a yellow flag flew, it's not really going to help many of these guys out. I mean, when you have this much of the field a lap down.
Yeah, exactly right. But to go beside that point, I'm going to go on board here with Benefield, who's out in front still. His last lap time was a 33.3, so definitely a significantly nice difference. I was trying to think of another word. I'm sorry, I couldn't get one. But there it is, significantly big difference. And we're on 251 of 267, so not very many laps left. And Benefield looks like he's got a pretty good lead over Hixenbaugh, who's just pulled up into second. So, and they also have McRae and Edwards in between them. So we'll see how these last few laps turn out as Benefield has got that lead and is just running away with it.
Absolutely. And in the driver's text chat, we have a pretty good quote from Kevin Steele. I just hate air right now. And I think that sums up how these guys are feeling about the dirty air and the aero push that they're going to experience behind traffic. It's just been really rough for these guys all night long. And Jonathan Delaney also commented on it earlier, and I think that's definitely been the number one enemy for these guys. And even with how far separated these guys are, you might think, well, they're pretty far separated. None of these guys must have that much aero push. It must not be that bad. But really, you can be quite a ways behind another car, really up to about 2 to 3 seconds, and you can still feel the difference in handling.
Exactly. And yeah, that's what I like about this course. Or this track, I should say. It's going to be different, being out in that lead, you're used to it. It's like you were talking about Hixenbaugh earlier. He led like 140 something laps, gets out here, and all of a sudden he falls back, and now he's got dirty air. So, well, here we go. Back time. It's now time for you to get back into a learning curve and figure out your car and see how it's going to run. So, I like the way it's going, and we'll see how these last few laps are going to turn out as everybody's moving around and getting different types of air going into their car.
Absolutely. We got a little bit of a gaggle of cars there. You can see the lap time differential. Mason Lowry versus Brian Branham. Lowry running about 1/10 of a second slower on average. There was a couple laps where it was 3/10 slower. So, man, either that car is not handling well or he is definitely trying to conserve. And I'm listening to the engine of Adam Benefiel. I'm kind of riding on board. I think he might be saving a little bit. Just the way he's rolling out of the throttle a little bit earlier than he was before in the race and rolling into it a little bit easier, a little bit later. I think a lot of these guys might be saving. I don't know the fuel situation exactly, but if I had to guess, I'd say a few of these guys might be kind of close.
Yes, exactly. It's true. Because we do have about 11 laps to go now, 12 laps, and Benefiel's still out there. So maybe he is on that brink of danger of, maybe possibly run out of fuel. So he might be trying to preserve a little bit for that just-in-case moment. But at the same time, he could just be riding knowing that he's up there in that clean air. And it doesn't really look like he's being challenged too hard right now. P2 is Hixenbaugh, who's about a quarter of a turn behind him. So he's gaining on him. So we'll see how this turns out. Hixenbaugh's looks like he's moving a bit faster. His last lap time was 33.6. And Benefiel's was 33.2. So he's not really getting him on him too much. But when I swapped from car to car, it looked like Hixenbaugh was moving a lot faster. We'll see how it plays out.
I think a lot of these guys' paces are kind of fluctuating because they might be like saving one lap, and then the next lap they get on it a little bit harder, and they're just kind of going back and forth. Because you're right, it did seem like Hixenbaugh closed that gap a little bit. I kind of noticed the same thing, and then that last time around, it just opened right back up. So definitely interesting to see how the paces are changing, and the leader is working his way through a little bit more lap traffic. Tim Rail in the 17 just got passed up again by the 83. And he's got a little ways to go. Adam Benefiel has about half a straightaway to the next lap car. Brandon Pierce in P8. We talked about him a little while ago, said no immediate danger of being put a lap down. But that danger is getting closer and closer lap by lap as Brandon Pierce ran a 33.5 last time around. Adam Benefiel ran a 33.2.
It's exactly, and that was a few laps ago, but now Benefiel has got him in his sights and bringing him in. As you said, Benefiel though run a 33.2, and right behind him in the P2 position was Hixenbaugh, who run a 33.4. So Benefiel's still just a touch faster. So as we got about 8 laps to go here, Benefiel's definitely still running faster laps and still pulling away. So we'll see how it turns out. And then in between the P3 spot with Delaney and then the P2, you've got 2 cars that Delaney's going to have to get around. So if he's going to make a move, he's going to need to make one soon because he is running out of time. Same thing for Hixenbaugh. If he wants to make that move and get on up there and try to run with Benefiel a little bit better, he's going to have to go ahead and start making these moves. We just got to 260. And Benefiel's looks like he's slowing down at all. He's still running 33.2s.
Adam Benefiel, the former Cup Series driver, mentioned last week everybody expected Team Conti to really bring great things to this league and really perform really well, and that's exactly what they've done this season. Adam Benefiel looking to make it 2 wins in a row if he can nab this one. He won Auto Club last week after a very eventful situation with the disconnects and a whole new session having to be made. He was able to come back on top, and he said in his interview, I finally got an interview, and I'm hoping to get one next week. Well, it's looking, barring anything crazy happening, it's looking like he's on his way to a second interview.
That's exactly right. And again, this is Homestead, and there is now 6 laps to go, as we just completed 261. You never know what could happen. So I'm not trying to jinx them, but we could definitely see, anything could happen here in these last 5 or 6 laps. So we'll see how it turns out. But Hicksonbaugh is right there behind still. He's looking like he's a couple of seconds behind. But everything keeps going the way it's going. Benefield's definitely in great shape to go on and get this checker flag as he gets ready to cross the start. There he goes. He crosses the stripe line, the start-finish line again in the lead. So between Benefield and Hicksonbaugh, they have both led, I would guess, somewhere around 200 of these laps or more.
Speaking of consecutive finishes, John Delaney finished third last week, and he's looking to finish third again this week, so it could be 2 third-place finishes in a row for Delaney. And third place, obviously everybody wants to win the race, but you can win a championship on top 10s alone if you're consistent enough. And John Delaney, with a lot of consistency this year, you can't complain about 2 podium runs. I would say podium finishes, but of course this race is not over yet. So we'll say 2 podium runs for Delaney so far.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, that consistency, man, as long as you stay going and keep finishing up in the top 10, 15 each race, every race, you can still come away with that championship. So we'll see how it runs out for him, because this is only the 3rd race of the series. So we'll see how it goes for him. And, he stays consistent in the top 5. We'll see where he ends up once we get closer toward the end of the year. But he is staying in that P3 right now. And then in front of him in P10 is Preston McRae. In front of him, P9 is Chad Edwards. In front of him in the 17 is Tim Rail in the P18. And then P2 again, Bryson Hicksonbaugh, sorry. And then Adam Benefield, P1, who's coming up on some lap traffic with the 56 and the 38. That's the 7 and 8 spots right there with Mason Lowry and Brandon Pierce. We'll see how this handles right here. Hopefully we can get through cleanly, because we only have we're getting ready to come. We got 2 to go.
I don't think this lap traffic is going to be too big of a deal for Benefield. He's got a huge gap, about 4.9 seconds at the line last time around.
Exactly.
So a huge lead. He can take it pretty much as easy as he wants. There's no rush getting around this traffic. He could pretty much run with this traffic for the next lap and not really worry about Bryson catching him. So you just got to play it smart. Yeah. And man, it really goes to show you how much this green flag racing can allow these guys to get out and just really show some consistency and dominance. The fact that Adam Benefield has lapped up to, well, that was 8th right there. Now he's about to lap P7. Pretty crazy how much of the field he's managed to get around.
Exactly. And as we are on the final lap, Adam Benefield has a huge lead and can easily, as you said, Andre, easily take this, and he will unofficially take the win. Adam Benefield crosses the finish line first at Homestead with the win, followed by, I believe, Hicksonbaugh, and then I believe in 3rd will be Jonathan Delaney. So a great race, nice finish. Everything was clean, and that's your top 3 right there. So unofficially, top 3 is Benefield, Hicksonbaugh, and Delaney. So if I'm not mistaken, we'll talk to these guys, correct?
Yes, sir. Once these guys get settled in after the race and Adam Benefield does his burnouts here, we're going to bring the top 3 in and interview the top 3. We're going to go probably from 3rd up to 1st, but quite a race, I would say, for sure. A lot of separation at times, but also a lot of great battles in and throughout the field. We were definitely throughout the whole broadcast doing a great job bringing attention to the battles that were going on mid-pack, and that's just one of the things that I love about tracks like this. Is just everywhere you look, there's something going on. So 83 burning it down, as you can see your unofficial results right there. Unofficial, official. Adam Benefield winning the race. Bryson Hicksonbaugh, Jonathan Delaney, Kevin Steele, Brian Branham, R.J. Root, Brandon Pierce, Mason Lowry, Chad Edwards, Preston McRae is going to round out your top 10.
And Cameron Stone, Mobley, lost it. Here we go. Mobley, Bird, Hall, Hoffman, Samuelson, McDaniel, Rail, Gaskins, Mooch, Higginbottom, and Parrott. Those bottom 3 didn't quite do so well, but we had the top 7 on the lead lap. First guy off the lead lap was Lowry. I don't know about you guys, but I'm about ready to speak to these top 3.
Yes, sir. We're gonna see if we can get in the Discord here. I'm gonna try and see. None of them are quite in the waiting room yet. Maybe give these guys a second. Here. Okay, I found Jonathan Delaney in his Discord. I'm gonna. Nope, he's gone. Hold up. A little bit of technical difficulties, folks. We're gonna find him. All right. We can get him down. There we go. Nope. I can't drag him that far. Try that again. Hold on a second. All right, Jonathan Delaney, you got a copy? John? Jonathan Delaney, you got a copy, bud? All right, we're gonna move him into the waiting room. These interviews are going flawlessly. Fantastic. Don't question anything. Everything's going well. We like what we're seeing. That's a NASCAR quote. Anyways, second place finisher, Bryson Nixonbaugh. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
All right. Well, Jonathan Delaney was unresponsive. I think that third place finish kind of maybe sent him into a bit of a state of paranoia. Bryson, you dominated stage 1 and stage 2, and then stage 3. That 83 car really seemed to come to life, and once you got that clean air, you kind of set sail. What was going on with your car in the third stage there?
Nothing really changed with it. It was just getting back in the dirty air. Adam was fast all race on a short run, so I knew that if he got by me, there wasn't much I could do there. In stage 2, he got loose on that first lap, and he didn't get quite to me in time before his set fell off. But he did that in stage 3, got ahead of me, and then dirty airs held me up a little bit. And I tried to do some tire strategy, tire saving, but couldn't make up the ground.
Yeah, it's definitely what it seemed like, but it was a great run nonetheless. You had a lot of consistency, pretty much a flawless race, and the strategy that you pulled, when you pitted, when you did, and everything, it just worked out really well, and you can't complain about a P2. Carrying this momentum forward, how do you feel about the coming weeks on the schedule?
I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about Vegas. I know that he's going to be fast that week, being a Coke week. His team's going to be working a lot on that. We'll see where we go at Phoenix with more horsepower, less spoilers. See how that goes for me, and hopefully some of these non-mile-and-a-half weeks will go good.
All right, looking forward to some non-mile-and-a-halfs, and definitely going to be some good racing at the shorter tracks. I'm excited to watch it. But Bryson, congratulations on P2. And James, you got anything to add?
No, just great run there, Bryson. It was fun watching you race, man, and you made it entertaining for us. It's just unfortunate you weren't able to come on and get the checker flag after taking both stages, but you got some good points out of it. It's a good run, and you did finish P2, and so congratulations on that, my man.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, we'll continue running good. We'll get the wins when they come.
Absolutely. Before we let you go, any shout-outs you'd like to make?
Shout-outs to the guys at Nexus this week for the setups. I think Patrick made the setup this week, Patrick Moose. And then Doucette, Matheson, James Mullins, all those guys working on it.
All right. Again, thanks for your time, and congratulations on P2.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that was your second place finisher, Bryson Nixonbaugh. Before we bring in the race winner, we're going to try one more time with Jonathan Delaney. John Delaney, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, well, it's another third place finish. I can't complain about a podium, but I know you were hoping for a little bit more after getting your second pole in a row. Your car looks good out there, but maybe just a little bit unstable on those longer runs. How'd it feel out there?
Before I say anything, this race felt exactly like Auto Club. Exact same thing happened. Bryson dominating, leading both stages, getting past in the last stage, Adam winning, Bryson finishing second, and me finishing third in every stage. So just want to point that out. But at the very start of the race, we had the pole. We had to have a 5-car gap between to Cam. and my computer froze, and that put me back to like 6th.
Hmm.
So I was in dirty air from there on, and as you saw, clean air is just huge, and I feel like if I could have had that clean air at the start, I probably could have maybe finished second, maybe even first. But the car, it was handling great at the start. The handling kind of fell away off as the run went on and as the race went on. Towards the end there, I was pretty tight on entry and getting real loose off exit. So there really wasn't too much you could do about it. But yeah, had a pretty good race.
Absolutely, P3, another podium. It was a great points day. Can't complain too much about that. James, you got anything to add?
Yeah. Hey, John. This is James. But I actually picked you to win. Um, but P3 is fine. It's good. It's great. My question though is I think it was one of the last couple of green flag pit stops there. You chose to stay out about 10 laps longer than everybody else. Was that planned, or were you were filling your truck and you just wanted your car, and you just wanted it to run the way it was, or was there, just something that kept you on the track, or was that planned from the beginning?
It was just strategy. I knew short pitting was going to be pretty nice because you get the clean air, and I did it, I believe, in the second stage as well. I stayed out like 5 laps after Bryson and Adam pitted, and when they pitted, I forget exactly what lap they pitted, but I felt like it was a little too early to pit at that time, so I stayed out. I was in the clean air thinking, I could maybe make up some time, but it didn't work out as well as I expected. But yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. I mean, you still ended up with a P3, so that's, for me, I think that's a positive thing. You can come with it, roll with it, and get ready to go for the next race. But congrats on the P3, and I know you wish you could have got that P1. I was definitely rooting for you up here in the booth, but I like the way you ran the race, man. But congrats on the P3, and hopefully we'll see you in victory lane soon.
Yeah, me too. I'm getting tired of finishing third here.
I seen somebody in the chat say, if you finish third again, John, buy a lottery ticket. Are you gonna do that?
Probably. The law, maybe maybe not, but with my luck, I probably could win some big money.
Maybe. All right. Well, before we let you go, John, is there any shout outs you'd like to make?
Yeah. So shout out to mom and dad, my aunt Tanya, Bob, everyone at DGR and Apex. We were really fast this week. I think we definitely had a better car this week than Auto Club. Let's see, Flying Arrows, they had them on the car. Shout out to those guys, everyone over there putting in the work and effort. You guys for broadcasting. The admin team, Kevin Steele, Damaris Hickenbottom, as always. And yeah, that's all I got.
Alrighty. Thanks for your time, John. Congrats on your podium finish, and hopefully we're talking to you again next week.
Yeah, hopefully it's not in third place, but yeah, see you guys.
Alrighty. That was third place finisher. I'm sorry, Jonathan Delaney. Now we're gonna try and bring in our race winner, Adam Benefield. Let's see if we can get him on the line. Adam Benefield, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
You did it again. 2 in a row. How does it feel, man?
It feels pretty damn good, to tell you the truth.
Absolutely. That car looked like it was just on rails in stage 3. I kind of had a theory up in the booth. I thought when the race started out and you were kind of riding about a second behind Bryson, I said, I don't think he's showing his hand yet. I think you're going to see that car get a little bit more speed once stage 3 starts winding down. And lo and behold, you took that lead in stage 3 and you never looked back. Was that a bit of strategy on your end, just kind of waiting for the right time to strike?
Yes and no. To tell you the truth, like the king or clean air is king, and basically the first half of the race right there, I was trying to size up Bryson to see where and when I was really better than him at, and trying to get the work on the car a little bit for the back end of the run. So it's a yes and no deal, but once I think it was the beginning of stage 3 or whenever, I think that's when it was. Like I knew that was my first opportunity to. I was like, all right, let's get the lead here to get into clean air, and I knew it was just like last week. I was like, if I got in clean air, then it would be over. Like I feel like I'd be able to really run away with it, and that's what we did. Like we pulled a little gap, and basically then I know Bryson. He's not going to pull something crazy to where he's going to pit before, he's going to pit when the fuel window's open. So then it was just sitting back waiting till he peeled off and then coming the lap after. And and then we got back out and he was in front of me and went down into turn 3 and I moved him. I felt like that was really my only opportunity to get back by him because I was there earlier in that situation where I was right on him and I just couldn't get the run to get by him. So I felt like that right there was my chance to get by him. So I had to give him a little bumper and get him up the racetrack.
A wise man once said, "You didn't hit him, you rubbed him," and rubbing is racing. So it was a good move. It got you out front. It got the job done. And when I asked Bryson about how he felt going into Vegas next week, he said pretty much immediately he pegged you as the favorite. He said, "I don't know because I know Adam's going to be fast there." How do you feel about Vegas?
Well, unfortunately, unless things change, I will not be at Vegas. We actually are. I got a real race next weekend, so unless the weather doesn't cooperate with us there, I unfortunately won't be at Vegas.
Oh, well, that's very interesting. But good luck with your real life endeavors. That's pretty cool, and hopefully you can do pretty well there.
Thanks, man.
James, you got anything to add?
Yeah. Hey, Adam. This is James with SRM, man. I appreciate the entertaining race. Congrats on the W.
Hey, man, I appreciate it.
If you don't mind, if you would, the part that sticks out for me, take me through those last couple of laps as you were obviously had a very nice lead, but you had lap traffic coming up. What was going through your mind?
I learned this many years ago in real life racing. Run every lap like it's just like there's 100 to go. Don't think about it. Just don't try to back up or anything. Just run it like you normally would, because when you start trying to play it safe, that's when you open the door for mistakes to happen. So I was just running those last 5 laps. I seen the lap traffic and I was just running it like we still had 100 to go, like I would every other lap.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking time talking to me, and good luck in your real life race. And next Saturday, I've actually got a real life race. I'll be in the booth for that, so I'm right there with you.
Hell yeah, dude.
So, but yeah, man, congrats on the win, Adam. Again, I appreciate you giving me an entertaining race for my first one with you guys, and I look forward to calling another race for you.
Thanks, man.
Before we let you go, Adam, any shout outs you'd like to make?
Yeah, all the guys at Team Conti for putting together such a awesome race car. The Dustin Hall for kind of keeping me level-headed throughout the race and making me stay mentally sharp with it. And this win, I will dedicate this win to one of our other teammates that races in this league, Brandon Hastings. He had an unfortunate situation that happened, and he wasn't allowed to race this race. So this win is for Hastings. And then all the guys at 100 Cup League. It's great racing. It's fun, and just want to let Bryson know that I hope I'm in his dreams, because this ain't gonna stop anytime soon.
Well, man, when he pegged you as the winner for Vegas, I tell you what, I think you're already in his head. So this ain't gonna soon, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season because I'm here for this rivalry. If you can even call it that, when you're winning every race. I don't know if you can call it a rivalry, but thanks for your time, Adam, and congratulations on your win.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, that was your race winner, Adam Benefield, with another fun interview. He's quickly becoming my favorite one to interview, man. He's always got something to say, but that is pretty much going to wrap up our coverage of the Homestead race. I almost said Auto Club. That would have been the wrong track. It was a fun race for sure. James, it was great having you on. And shout out to Carlos Acosta in the booth, pushing the buttons, doing the camera work as always. For James Siegel of SRM, for Carlos Acosta, and for 100% Cup Series, good night, everybody.